I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, close my eyes, sense your vibe, being alive just feels so right. We are flying out of space and time. Sparks spraying between us, colorful clouds of dust. Coincidence might be divine. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with you. Skin, wondering, landscapes we're discovering, whole new worlds so new and welcoming. Am I dreaming? Are we here? Just imagine how it feels. Stop believing that it could be real. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with me.
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast, where the sun always shines, right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Lazy breeze in a sea of green, slipping on the sunscreen. Lazy breeze in an open sky, never wanna say goodbye. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, here in Barbados, oh, Santa Domingo, oh, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, 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 oh.
Running in circles, waiting for the moment to come. There's no rehearsal when you want to reach the stars. I lift my head up and hit resume. Get me away from the waiting room, 'cause we were born to achieve our dreams. So just fire away, fire away. Well, do you feel it getting closer? I know each day we're growing stronger. Well, do you feel it getting closer? My eyes on the clock, the game is on. 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 I feel I'm on the edge, testing my own limits. It's taking me to the top. I'm taking action, okay, here we go. Well, do you feel it getting closer?
Why do you speak on my name? Why do you treat me so bad? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Why do you leave me into? Do you love me for real? Do you love me for real? No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. Why do you speak on my name? Do you love me for real? Why do you treat me so bad? Do you love me for real? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Do you love me for real? Why do you leave me into? Do you love me for real? No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, don't give me that. No, 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 don't give me that, give me that, give me, give me, give me, give me that.
Like a siren without a warning. You never know what hits you if you wake up in the morning like a temptress in a red dress. Seduction is destruction, so you better get a move. Danger, danger, look where you're going. The heart is open, your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, look where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal, and life is not ready, baby. Yeah. I'm gonna use you and abuse you. Tie a track on your back, you run you down. Look behind a fallen angel, like a siren. I'm a beacon in the tunnel, light me up like green lightning. Danger, danger, look where you're going. Your heart is open and your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, look where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal, and life is not a letter. Danger, danger, nothing could be stranger than the feeling that you get when the dark side is calling after you. Danger, 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 danger. Look where you're headed, got your pedal to the metal, and life is not a letter. Danger, danger, nothing could be stranger than the feeling that you get when the dark side is calling after you.
I can't take it, my heart is breaking, but I know it's for the best. See, we've been taking much too long to finally lay this love to rest. So I put on my jacket, untangle my shoes. This ain't gonna be easy, but we know what we got to do. It's so hard. sometimes life changes when nothing seems to work. No, no. The ones you love so dearly are easier to hurt. It's so hard to say goodbye. We both know how hard we try. So you go your way and I'll go mine. Yeah, I know that we're gonna be fine. 'Cause we had so much to learn. Now it's time for the press to burn. Out of space, there's no more time. We both know it. I'm sure we should. We'll be fine. Yeah, I know we will. Know it, show it. All these years I don't know where to begin. Do I repent this life of sin? Now I've already gone to somewhere I know is waiting for me. Down I go, where the river don't flow. Since I left these bones, done a gun, now lost me. Ferryman took his toll. It's gonna take me where the river don't flow.
mercy on my wicked soul. Nobody told me what makes right from wrong. Came from the shadow with an eagle eye, leaving all my thoughts and my fears behind. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Yeah, I'm gonna run from here. Run, run, run. Nobody come from here. So I leave today. Say goodbye to all of the pain. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. I'm
Guess who's back to blow your mind? But let me warn you one last time. Guess who's back to change your life? But it's not gonna be just fine. Whoa, I've got you under my spell tonight. Whoa, we're both heading to hell tonight. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Won't light it up, then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. I have always tried to be nice. I've sat right back, I've tried to be quiet. But I can only take so much, and then I just explode. To feel it building inside me, I just need to let it go. So don't ever listen to a word they say. It's time that you found out that I'm gonna get my way. Okay, I'm gonna light it up, and then I'll burn it down. I'm gonna make you feel like you're invincible when no one's around. I'm gonna build you up, and then I'll strike you down. 'Cause you're about to know it's nothing personal. Sometimes good people do bad things. Oh, oh, oh. Sometimes good people do bad things. Oh, oh, oh. Sometimes good people do bad things.
You walk down the streets and see different faces with a hope with the riches. They reach out for love and for freedom forever. Do you remember how it feels? Let's walk for a while with a face full of smile until sadness disappears. When weakness overcomes you, face it, go through, and the things as they come, it will go further now. Spring arms wide apart in the middle of the storm. Whoa, you fulfill it right now. Set a goal for yourself. This is still not the end. And pull it through now. Every pain that you feel comes to an end oh so soon. The time has come now. No, it's not the time to quit. Put yourself together, whoa. And let's do it right now. Don't care about the tears, all your problems. I'll be there for you in the middle of the night. And I don't care about all of these hard times. I keep pace with you, 'cause the rest is shining bright. Let's walk for a while with a face full of smile until sadness disappears. Oh, when weakness overcomes you, face it, go through, take things as they come. It will
Staring out at an April snow and your taxi in the street. I imagine time has slowed. In sympathy, of packing up my heart to walk away. Still, it's all I want to say. 'Cause I learned to love for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love. Holding on to a photograph from the day we made our vows, and I bet we would have laughed to see us now. You're packing up my heart to walk away. Still, it's all I want to say. 'Cause I learned to love for you, for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to love. 'Cause I learned to love for you. I don't want somebody new. Impossible for me to let it go, let it go. So if it's goodbye, if you're running free, you ought to know, ought to know. You're the reason I learned to love. Learn to
The moment I throw my backpack in the trunk of your rusty car, not knowing where we going, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. Oh, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view, light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and we bought our hearts. We see in the signs, led by the stars, not knowing where we're going. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's gonna be far, it's gonna be far. And all I see is a white view, light through soft clouds, the sun, the moon, and you. Emotional landscapes right here, making memories with you. Sun, moon, you. All I
I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, close my eyes, sense your vibe, being alive just feels so right. We are flying out of space and time. Sparks spraying between us, colorful clouds of dust. Coincidence might be divine. Wanna sing your melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, the glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with you. With me, skin to skin, wondering, landscapes we're discovering. We know what's so new and welcoming. Am I dreaming? Are we here? Just imagine how it feels. Stop believing that it could be real. Wanna sing a melody, sounds like poetry to me. Let your key resonate all through my body. I saw you tonight, your beauty from inside, glowing light is shine. I am with you. Oh, you saw me tonight, the soul of a child, the chaos of my mind. I am with me. Oh,
You know from the first touch, this was probably more than love. That's why I know that this will hurt much when there's no longer us. You and me against the world, oh say no more words. 'Cause I've had enough and I had enough and I no more words. 'Cause I You and I know from the first touch, this was probably more than love. That's why I know that this will hurt much when there's no longer us. You and me against the world, oh say no more words. 'Cause I've had enough and I had enough and I no more words. 'Cause I
There's a place I wanna go, 15 miles to the coast, where the sun always shines, right down on the borderline. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Sitting here under the blue sky, people here don't ask why. The sun comes down every evening, oh, the sun comes up, we're believing. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Lazy breeze in a sea of green, slipping on the sunscreen. Lazy breeze in an open sky, never wanna say goodbye. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Here in Barbados, Santa Domingo, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, here in Barbados, oh, Santa Domingo, oh, Kingston, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, 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 oh.
Why do you speak on my name? Why do you treat me so bad? 'Cause I never made you feel like this. Why do you leave me into? Do you love her for real? Do you love her for real? No, no, no.
siren without a warning. You never know what hits you if you wake up in the morning like a temptress in a red dress. Seduction is destruction, so you better get a move. Danger, danger, look where you're going. The heart is open, your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, look where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal, and life is not a ready, baby. Yeah. I'm gonna use you and abuse you. Tie a track on your back, run you down, look behind a fallen angel. Lion siren, I'm a beacon in the tunnel, light me up like green lightning. Danger, danger, look where you're going. Your heart is open and your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, look where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal and life is not a letter. Danger, danger, nothing could be stranger than the feeling that you get when the dark side is calling after you. Danger, 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 danger. Look where you're headed, got your pedal to the metal, and life is not a letter. Danger, danger, nothing could be stranger than the feeling that you get when the dark side is calling after you.
I can't take it, my heart is breaking, but I know it's for the best.
他们说要跟着那阵风去征服每一座巅峰，然后呢？巅峰之后是什么？他们将我捧上云巅，也让我从头来过。不让我回来的，我一意孤行；要让我折服的，我踏入光明；让我无路可走的，使我惧怕；反要让他们畏缩。他们一直说个不停，因为他们害怕洪水猛兽，那就比猛兽更凶猛，比洪水更滔天。事将到来的，终会成苦；汹涌而起的，终会证明。既然暴风将至，那就去把那些不服的、不屈的、不可磨灭的、非赢不可的，通通化成风。这里是我们，我们就是风暴。
Welcome one and all to the LPL. We are coming to you from Week 8, Day 4. I am Oshin. I am joined by the fantastic Dagda. And we're going to be bringing you, for the first time in a very long time, one series today in the regular split. How are you doing, Dagda? It's a bit of a short one for us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, it feels like, you know,
we woke
on
up
NBC,
relatively late considering our usual call time. It was strange.
I actually had to double check that I could in fact wake up at 8 a.m. today. That was a kind of a surprise for me. But yeah,
I naturally woke up at 6 and I was like, no, go back to sleep.
I mean, it's always the way, right? It's just like, it's a bit of a strange one, but yeah, only one series, potentially only 3 games, maybe 2. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my day.
Honestly, we have so much to figure out. But before we can talk about the rest of our day, let's have a look at what happened yesterday, as we're going to see a couple of results, and definitely the expected ones to come out with, but not how we kind of, expected Ultra Prime to get there specifically.
No, expected a little bit of a smoother start, I will say, for Ultra Prime, thinking that they'd be able to go against TT, maybe even take the 2-0. When this is a team that we're kind of saying, hey, look, can they push the envelope into playoffs? Definitely not the convincing series that I needed from them yesterday. Someone who was very convincing, though, was RNG against LGD, because by God, did RNG slap LGD around.
Yeah, they really, really did. Really putting themselves up there to the top of the LPL standings. And I'm going to have a look at those standings right now. As you can see there, V5, Weibo, RNG, all punching their tickets to the playoffs. They're now fighting for position in that top 10. And we are sadly losing TT and WE. So we are starting to whittle away some of these teams, figure out who's in and who's not.
But it definitely feels like we're starting to see the pack separate, right? V5, Weibo, RNG, Pack 1, Top Esports down to LNG, kind of setting themselves up as Pack 2, maybe BLG hoping to inch their way in there. And then you've got kind of the last battle for those final 2 spots. And you're kind of looking at teams like EDG as well, starting to slip down the table, finding a couple of losses, not being able to win against some of our top teams. And same with LNG. Curious to see exactly where a lot of these big teams end up.
Yeah, now let's have a look at today's schedule. It is only the one series today, hence why we're all up and out a little bit later. It is only IG versus Team WE. OMG's had a COVID situation, so they have had to isolate, so a lot of their games will be postponed until later on in the season. We, of course, wish anyone affected a much speedy recovery, but it is going to be just the one series today for IG and versus WE. And for IG, you got to smash today. You got to come in swinging.
Yeah, I mean, for IG, this is a kind of put up or shut up situation, especially with Mo coming into the roster. Big question marks over, how this team is going to look, how they want to play, and if they can make their way into playoffs. And for WE, I mean, you're playing for pride here, lads. Put it all on the table, bring out whatever you want,
for
whatever you've been trying, just get it. Yeah, for parish pride.
For the parish. That's a very Irish colloquialism right there. But let's have a look at, IG, basically, and kind of Week 1 IG versus Week 8 IG are two very, very different teams. Only the core of Shun and Lucas has really stayed the same.
Yeah, it's kind of been in a bit of an identity crisis for IG over the course of the split. We saw them go for this much more kind of team fight orientated style with laning the top lane, playing things like the Gragas and the Malphite and trying to set up for these core team fights, but that wasn't really working out. And then we saw the next iteration of IG, which was them kind of operating in this 1-3 split push style with Uakai taking picks like the Rise, the Twisted Fate, making sure that he was able to have impact in these side lanes, and specifically when Zika came on board, playing up towards Zika in that top side of the map. We know him for the Jaces, the Trindamirs. This guy wants to split push and take over the side lane, playing a heap of Gwen at the start as well. But now, with Mo coming into the roster, replacing Uakai, you kind of end up in the situation where we're starting to see the move away from the 1-3-1 and a move towards more of a 1-4 focus, with things like the Silas and LeBlanc able to operate in those side lanes, but certainly IG grouping up much more, especially in that series against Anyone's Legend, where they kind of gave up on side lanes and were more interested in kind of team fighting. So definitely this back and forth push and pull between the side lanes and the team fight for IG.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now you look at the, this is the solo lanes we're talking about, but also the bot lane has been a bit of a revolving door as well. We've had 3 separate AD carries coming into this bot side. Xiaowu, On, Wink, and they have had their strengths and weaknesses, and it does feel like, again, this is a bit of an issue here for IG, the bot lane.
Yeah, I think it's still not completely fixed. I still think Wink has his issues and certainly can go over aggressive, but has been much more stable in the laning phase. And I think that's where IG were struggling the most, was just saying, hey, look, can Xiaoyu and On hold their own against some of the best AD carries that we have? And the answer honestly was no. So although they might have been a little bit more timid in team fights and kind of positioning less aggressively, where that could help out IG to a certain extent, it just was their laning phase was the big issue. So now they brought in Wink, a hyper aggressive AD carry, but someone who is much more stable in that lane phase. Still has his mistakes, still will get caught out, but someone who's not just going to lose out in the 2v2 straight off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's the best way you can kind of put it as well. And I think the big thing to see from the side of IG is, where do we put them? This is a team that in recent form has looked exceptional and also exceptionally bad. It just seems to be a bit of a coin flip for this team. They've beaten Titans and lost to Caterpillars.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. whenever I look at IG, I'm like, who the hell are you guys? How the hell am I supposed to like plant you in or out of playoffs? Because you look at the recent series wins, Rare Adam, JDG, BLG, they were all able to take them down, and you're like, God, this team isn't going to playoffs. They're going to look great. Honestly, maybe they smashed Top Esports later on in the week, and I was like, oh wait, can you come and they lost Anyone's Legend? They lose to LGD. Now, EDG and V5 is a little bit more of a allowed, but I mean, Anyone's Legend and certainly LGD, this should have been 2 victories for IG. But again, we just don't know where to put them. It feels like the identity crisis is still in full effect. Zika not feeling as comfortable as we expected in team fights. And especially in that series against Anyone's Legend, the team fighting from IG was just all over the place.
And the thing is, as well, is like, yes, these are big wins against people ahead of you in the standings. We mentioned that, but losing against LGD, losing against Rare Adam, it just feels, or sorry, not Rare Adam, Anyone's Legend, it just feels like, again, and in turn, that loss against Anyone's Legend puts Anyone's Legend above you on the standings.
Exactly.
These are small little increments that can set yourself up, and we're running out of season right now, Dagda.
Yeah, I mean, they've only got a couple of series left. I mean, if we want to bring up just the remaining schedule, it's not a huge amount. I mean, you've got Top Esports still in there, it's still to play, and you've still got the likes of
FPX, Weibo.
FPX, thank you. FPX and Weibo that are still in the equation as well. So, I mean, these are must-win series. And if you're kind of looking at, hey, we've only got 4 wins on the board already for IG, you kind of need to get to minimum 7. Realistically, 8 is probably going to end up being the number. So you've still got to beat, your win here today, take down Top Esports, take down Weibo, and take down. But I mean, that is so much that you have to do. Like, I mean, maybe the FPX one can be a bit of an easier time, but Top Esports are on fire. Weibo's in second place. Like, these are not easy wins for IG.
I think that's the big thing you mentioned. Is like FBX is still a team ahead of you in the standings. They're on 6 and 7. You play no one lower than you. And yes, IG are down in 14th place, so there's not many teams below them at this stage. But it is still very much an uphill battle, and it has to start today against Team WE, who are going to be playing upset today. Not the player. They're just going to be trying to upset IG fans.
They really are, and I think especially for WE, it's about playing, as we said, for pride. Like, making sure that you actually are getting these wins. That is a terrible photo.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
That's you. If that's you as IG, if IG lose today.
Yeah. But it is a photo that will haunt me. But yeah, for WE, I think it's about trying to show what you're actually capable of. For a lot of the split, we're like, the Beishang waiting room, how's that going to work out when he comes back? It's still falling pretty flat, but certainly just trying to get these wins on the board, especially for like the likes of Bubu, right? Who on BLG last year ended up 7th, 8th place. When you look at those playoffs, you're looking at the WE mainstay that stayed around, like Beishang and Shanks, who nearly made it to the World Championship in 2021. Like, these are the guys that really you would kind of expected a huge amount from, but we just haven't really seen it come together.
Yeah, it does feel like they're just, again, rebuilding from what we saw in 2018, 2019, trying to build back to where they can maybe make a run for it again. But for Team WE, you are looking towards summer and maybe making as many improvements as you possibly can in spring, because you still got to play out the last few series. You are sitting at 1-11. You have 4 series left to play, this being one of them. And honestly, I still think that WE can do a lot of good, and this will be a very interesting matchup as well, because both these teams have shown very good proactivity in those first 5 to 10 minutes of the game. So this could be a bit of a clash of styles, considering how similar they can play.
Yeah, definitely for IG, you're going to see a huge amount of play coming through from Shun. It just feels like now he has 2 big solo laners that he can play around. I think the question for me is kind of, where do we see that for WE? Because my biggest gripe with them was I thought they kind of had solved an identity, like in the week 1, week 2 of the split, where they're playing through these certain skirmishes. They were looking like that was going to be their style. It was about refining that style. Then we kind of saw them go, actually, no, this isn't really what we want to do. You got Kadaya going on to these enchanter supports. We're going to kind of just play for these mid to late game fights. That definitely wasn't working for them. It just feels like for WE, they've never really found their groove or the style that they want to play through. And I can't really blame them. Like, when you have Beishang joining so late in the split, and you haven't actually got a chance to play with him, how are you supposed to know how this all fits together?
That's the big thing, is identity. It's figuring out what works for you. We have got again, for IG, they're almost there, but not quite 100%. And for Team WE, they have to just figure out if they want to try and continue with this style, they're obviously running with Xie in the mid lane instead of Shanks. So they're saying, look, we want to try and go with this very storied mid laner at the moment, try and make him work out with Beishang. And it is just about figuring out what's best for them. Of course, both teams will be playing in 2 separate arenas. We're going to have Team WB playing in their Xi'an arena over in their home stadium, whereas IG will be playing in the Shanghai stadium. So it's a home game for WE, but also not a home game. It's a home game for both teams. That's how I always put it.
Yeah, I mean, at least you get to kind of play in the comfort, but it's nice to kind of get the guys on stage and see them kind of in their element. One of the things we didn't hit on, though, WE, as we saw them take to the stage, it is going to be Xie in that mid lane. It would not be Shank starting today. So, again, we're going to see if Xie can kind of, again, bring a bit of a mix-up here. And it definitely just feels like, to me, like WE still just don't know what iteration of the roster they want to play with. Haven't had much time to try and, like, get themselves sorted. So, it still feels like, even though these are stage games, it still feels like it's a little bit of like, hey, these are kind of scrims. Like, let's figure out how we want to play. Let's try a couple things. Let's throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
That's kind of what you got to do. And for IG, anything except total domination today will have us putting up question marks as to the validity of their playoff berth and their playoff hopeful kind of setups. So, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze for a sec.
How dare you sneeze on broadcast?
There we go. I muted.
What is,
so
are you
I
an
was
amateur?
professional. I was
Amateur?
professional and muted my mic. I hope. But yeah, like again, it's for IG. The expectation is to come in today as Bubu takes himself a big ol' yawn. You know, it has to be definitively in IG's favor. Otherwise, we're going to have question marks about this team going up against, like we mentioned earlier, Top Esports, FBX, Weibo Gaming. These are massive teams that if you want to make playoffs, you got to try and either beat them, at least be able to be competitive against them.
Yeah, and that's the big one, is the inconsistency that we've seen from IG has already thrown up a bunch of question marks. It's about trying to silence a lot of that here for me today. When you look at, like, having a successful style that kind of revolved around playing towards Zika, getting this guy a bunch of kills in the early stage and playing this 1-3-1, it was working out. I think Zika has a really good understanding of how he wants to play that 1-3-1 style and how much he can aggress on the lane, when he needs to back off, when he needs to be good for the team. But it kind of feels now, again, like IG are like, okay, bringing in Mole, changing the formula once more. Now we want to try and lean more towards team fights, which is where Mole was always quite good at, like being able to pop off on picks like the Zoe and these kind of things. But once more, we're not really sure if that's the style that suits IG the best, and it feels like IG aren't sure either, because as we said, this team has gone through so many iterations from week 1 to week 8.
I think the big thing as well, we can't deny that the iterations or the additions they have made have been slight improvements in different regards. I think Zika has definitely been improvement over Nani, and we were big Nani fans in general. A different style of play, but definitely improved how IG played around Shun in that early game. And I think as well for Wink, we know how high this guy's ceiling is. We know how good he can be. Just waiting for him to really gel with this IG roster, to really show him, you know, put it to the forefront.
But we are into pick and ban. Kadaya getting the respect he deserves, as always, with the Rakan banned away. Shun being responded to with the Nidalee ban, both kind of these pocket picks on both sides. The Jace ban is an interesting one for me, because maybe WE are setting up for an early pick of something like the Gwen. But Jinx has kind of been the mainstay here for that first pick, and we'll have to see if that continues.
Yep, well, they're thinking about it right now. Both AD carries in terms of the big two of Aphelios and Jinx are available. WE take that Gwen into the top side. However, you were talking about this yesterday on the broadcast as well. You don't feel like this is as blind pickable as it used to be. You feel like there's a couple of answers to this now in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, even things like the Nard, the Akali, there's a ton there, especially when you're going against Zika, right? Like, this guy loves to get the counter picks. That can work out super well for him. I'm pretty sure I've even seen the Tryndamere do pretty well, which is kind of a big pick for Zika. So now you have the option to kind of take a Tryndamere, Gnar, Kali for Zika on this third pick, and you're in an option where Mole once more can take a counter pick in the mid lane. So pretty nice draft on red side here for IG, with W taking that top laner. And for WE, I mean, this isn't overly surprising, right? Aphelios into the Jinx is perfect. Viego, we've seen come out a lot into things like the Xin Zhao. And I kind of give the favor towards the Xin Zhao. I think he just has more opportunities in the early stages. But if this Viego can hit those late game fights, WE looking pretty terrified.
And then Mole locking in the Ari. This has been a very powerful pick these days, and we should see now quite a few bans going in towards that mid lane coming out here from IG. I would imagine WE banning away topside picks as they want to try and get that Gwen as much of a good matchup as possible. But it's interesting to see, like you said, they are going to be able to get themselves the mid lane priority, but they are still waiting to see where they want to round out their comp in terms of where that top lane pick is going to go.
Yeah, it definitely feels to me like IG are going to set up for some sort of here. You've already got Ari, who's super good at getting priority in that mid lane and looking to roam to affect side lanes. And it feels like a lot of that is going to revolve around Zika. You're now, as you say, banning away those counter picks, the LeBlanc and the Vex that can match some of the push that she has. So I'm expecting IG to go towards like the Trindamirs, the Kalis, the Jaxes as well that we've seen. Hell, even a Camille wouldn't be the worst in that top side. Although it does struggle a little bit against the Gwen. But you've got a ton of options here for IG. On WE, I really need to see them get some sort of engage in their back pocket here, though. Like, you want something that's going to be like a Nautilus, a Leona, something to set these fights up, because right now, you just don't have that.
Yeah, you do not really have any strong engage to either set up or follow in with the Xin Zhao. As you mentioned, yes, you got good pick potential with the Ari, but you do like to have that big hard engage, especially when dealing with things like the Gwen or the Viego, just things that can stop them from running onto the backside. As IG now looking towards maybe going in for that Tryndamere. This is something that Zika has been very, very comfortable on that top side, has gotten multiple solo kills with it, and this time around, to the delight of everybody who's an IG fan, he's not picking it into a Poppy.
Yeah, he's not picking it blind. Who would have thunk it? As LNG also found out, blind Tryndamere is a bad idea. But yeah, I mean, shocked Pikachu. I mean, I think everyone kind of saw this coming. Zika going to take the Tryndamere topside. You're in good spot. Shie going to be getting his hands on the Akali. Just kind of saying, hey, look, fend for yourselves in side lanes, boys. I'm just going to see if I can farm towards a later portion of the game. And then be a menace for people who like the Jinx and team fights. But it will give full mid priority to the mid jungle of IG. Or you can just look to take over the map. So for WE, we said we wanted to see engage. Alistair has been a good answer to if you want to go for the Nautilus. Leona also a good answer, and looks like it's going to go towards the Leona.
Yeah, and they're going to have the last pick now for the side of IG. We did see them hovering the Nautilus, but decided to wait to the very last chance to see what they wanted to kind of go for right now. And honestly, looking at the kind of style now, you are still lacking a little bit in that engage front from IG. So I was just about to say, I wouldn't mind to see the Nautilus coming out here for Lucas. Just something that can combo in with the Xin Zhao and also just set up success for this Jinx and Tryndamere to run rampant.
Yeah, I mean, for IG, I feel like they're going to be avoiding a lot of those fights. I think it is just going to be a case of, hey, look, let's get Zika pushed off into a side lane. Let's get Mole who's able to roam and set up this Tryndamere. And it'll be more about the 1-4 push for IG, which is something that we saw a lot in Anyone's Legend, like the opportunity to play towards that. I just felt like IG really fumbled the ball on it, so we'll get a better idea here if they are able to play through that style. It definitely feels like they've got the tools to get the ball rolling for them in the early stages, though. Just strong mid jungle, good push boss, controlling top side. Like, I mean, IG kind of, like, all far and away with the draft.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair statement to say. We'll see now if BuBu is able to make anything happen with this first priority Gwen. But like you said, a lot of answers to a lot of ways of getting around it or working around it in terms of making sure it doesn't have that big of an impact. I will say there is some pretty damn decent scaling for WE. If they can get to those 2.5 item points, they should be able to put up a pretty decent threat against a lot of what IG is fronting up. But it is still a very difficult game. I feel like IG have the much easier to execute composition versus WE, who are looking to try and capitalize on a couple of maybe even missteps or mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, for WE, it is very much about scaling. As you say, like, you don't win mid push, you don't win pop push, and you're going to get a ton of attention up towards this top side. And this is why I'm not the biggest fan of the Viego in the current meta. It feels like you just don't offer enough in the skirmishes in the early stages, and that's where a lot of junglers are kind of outshining you with, like, Jarvans who can gank early, Lee Sins who can control early, and even Xin Zhao, as we see, Volley Bear as well. Like, all these champions just do so much in the early stages, and Diego kind of just gets left in the dust. And I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but I know his global win rate kind of reflects that as well. So we have to see if Beishan can kind of right those wrongs here and try and control the early stages of the game to allow WE to get to that late point. It just doesn't feel like WE have the tools to kind of combat what IG have, though. Yeah,
I just feel a little bit opportunistic, shall we say, for the side of WE. Sorry, I'm currently looking up the win rates. 49% globally, including all regions. Let me look at the top regions. Let me look at that in top regions and see if we got there. So 49% still. So
Okay.
it is still pretty damn good for a lot of them. So again, he's right down the middle, but like you said, he is still very situational. Sorry, he's 45%. I didn't refresh. I was looking at the wrong column. But it's still
that's
pretty
more like
good,
it.
but he's still very much on the losing side. He's not considered busted OP, put it that way.
Yeah, especially when you look at Jinx, I think it was like a 58% win rate or something insane like that. So, yeah, on the grand scale of things, Viego kind of a little bit lacking. But, again, I just feel like in this situation, you've got so many options here as IG is how you want to orchestrate the game. I'd love to see, like, some early pressure from Mole towards Xie with Shun. Just to be like, look, we're just going to play through the mid. You can already see Xie struggling here. Mole setting up a slow push. So there's two options you can go for here. Either you look for some sort of 3-camp clear into bot side for IG off of Shun. And maybe you can look for a dive, especially with these heavy trades for going in favor of IG. Trying to get Mole out of the mid lane early just seems like a really good shout.
Yeah, Mole go from the kill as well. Not going for TP. Has got Ignite with him there and let the electrocute as well. Pretty spog standard, but see what he's able to do now in this mid lane as he goes up against the Doran shield of Xie. And like you said, IG pretty much have winning top, winning mid. They're going to be able to push in these waves, and they're going to be able to get themselves opened up. And it's all about how they use those opportunity costs to make advantages for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to see IG in all intents and purposes body WE. You've got the best way to do this. Like, this is where I need a confident win from IG, and you have everything falling into your lap in this draft, so we need to see how they're going to be able to do it. Nice idea here from Shun as well, just to get into the face of Beishang. Knows he's got mid priority there from Mole, so Beishang has to run away.
I mean, Beishang is going to try and fight this. He has got the red buff versus only the blue of the Xin Zhao, but Beishang, he's trying to go in. He gets the smite down. It was actually all a bait. He gets the smite down, but he's not able to keep himself alive. Double buff transfer confirmed. Mole will pay back the kill.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Shun there. I mean, I think he had smite up and available. Maybe it just wasn't quite off cooldown, but should have been able to smite the exact same wolf that Beishang had, but unfortunately, Mole, a little bit late on that invade, wasn't already in transition once Shun started that fight, and now IG, they'll get the kill to the mid lane, but unfortunate. So you can see here, like, look at where Mole is. He's not already moving. Like, this fight's pretty much done. And then, yeah, I mean, Shun has the smite, so I'm not sure why he doesn't just smite the wolf as well. That would have given enough time for Mo to come in. Maybe could have kept him alive if she had already used a lot of his abilities, but either way, kill for Beishang and 1 kill for Mole in the mid lane, which is only going to make Mole more deadly on the roams and make me want Mole to roam even more.
And now he has double buffs. So means Shie's probably looking saying, look, I appreciate that we got a kill back, but this makes my laning phase so much more difficult now to try and deal with, as we see Lucas roaming around, going to find himself a ward for his troubles. And he's going to be able to keep making himself a bit of a nuisance, as they have got some decent vision now, as Kadaya did not know that the earlier roam here from the IG bottom laner did make it so that they had got a ward already in place in the round behind that Dragon Pit, so not going to be able to trade that out just yet.
It's actually, sorry, I'm going to completely shift into something that I've noticed that isn't related to anything you were talking about. But
Is it that Australia is wider than the moon?
no, but that is kind of
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Australia is in fact wide. If you were to like make a planet out of like the diameter of Australia and cut the moon in half, the moon is like 30,000 kilometers or something like that. I'll get the exact things, but I know that it's actually Australia is wider from coast to
That's
coast.
incredible.
But anyway,
no,
go on.
I just wanted to go into. I may have to hold on to this though, because there's a lot of action down this bot side. I wanted to talk about the use of Cull in the bot lane, because something that we saw a lot from Jinxes in the start of the patch was, hey, I'm going to get control of the wave because I've got the longer range. I'm going to crash 4th wave, reset, pick up Cull, come back to lane. And something about this Jinx Aphelios matchup is that whoever tends to get ahead in the early stages tends to take over. Aphelios just has more upfront damage and dual potential, so if he can get to the Gale Force first, oftentimes he's able to close the gap onto the Jinx and kind of take over from that regard. But it's now become a case of Aphelioses are trying to match this in a lot of situations off their first reset, where I go, hey, look, I'll take less damage in lane because my kit just offers more, and I'll match the cull. But it's actually now Wink has kind of gone, okay, well, I'm not going to hit the cull in this one instead. All I'm going to do is go straight for items, and then maybe we can try and match you in the team fighting towards these like early objectives and stuff. So it's actually kind of been this really cool transition and iteration on how people use cull and the gold advantages that you have in this matchup. And I think it's kind of interesting just with the way the patch has gone, that we're seeing these kind of mini ideas and mini metas come through.
And that's what I love about the LPL. As much as we stay on the same patch and it can get a little stale, it's similar to Worlds. It's like you get answers to a lot of different situations. You get answers to a lot of different mini metas. And speaking of which, oh, that hook found Beishang. He gets charmed up as well. And with the resets coming in here for Mole, it means he can get in and get himself out. But the perfect execution is just that. As the rest of WE follow up on top of IG, BuBu is here to save the day. Wink shall not be given a respite. And that's going to be 4 kills to 1 to WE.
That is not the start that you wanted, IG. Zika doesn't have the TP, so he's just sitting in the top side, and BuBu had already reset. They were like, look, we know that this top lane matchup is going to suck, so instead, we're just going to move BuBu down towards this objective, and nobody on IG was aware of it, so just poor timing. And although it looks like a great start to begin things for IG, they just don't have the manpower that they need. And again, grouping it perfectly for that perfect execution means that GA gets so much damage off. You now got 2 kills for the Akali, a kill for the Gwen. BuBu has a much simpler time now getting up towards items where he's able to heal through some of the damage from Zika, and GA is very much on the way to being terrifying.
I mean, he's already got himself 100% kill participation, 2-0 and 3, and we talked about how IG, they had the draft, they had themselves all the tools available to them, and again, it's the execution that I feel is just lacking so much, not recognizing that BuBu wasn't in the top side, could have been a 5v4, which at this early stage is having those extra ultimates or even those extra little bit of damages is going to be absolutely massive and pivotal to your team taking a fight. And it's just, again, little things like this that I feel like for IG, they just falter so much when it comes to these situations.
It's a big communication difference on IG. Like, you can see in that initial invade from Shun, Mo not really transitioning across, IG not saying, hey, look, where the hell is BuBu? We don't know where this Gwen is, and still trying to go towards the dragon. So it definitely feels like it's more so on the communication front from IG. Let's see if they can right the wrongs, though, as they start to move up towards this mid lane. You've already got the bot push in, so they're looking for the Rift Herald, but you already got Zika and Shun on it. I think at this stage, bot lane just needs to start wandering back down. There we go. So they don't end up losing out too much on this bot side.
I think the scariest thing right now for IG is who protects Wink? You know, you got a Gwen, a Viego, and a Kali, a Leona. Like, if your Nautilus is there, as Gadaya is going to do his second half of his name and die.
Why was he there?
I don't know. I don't know why he's there. This is, I just back to my original point is that, like, you know, if this WE side can get ahead and can get some decent items onto their carries, this, you know, Wink is going to have a very tough time at just surviving and playing.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing for IG is trying to split push. We talked about Mole having control over this mid lane to try and look for roams, and we have basically seen none of it. Now that GA is starting to press that level 9, he's actually got decent wave clear in and of himself. He's got kill threat on Mole as well, and now it becomes really difficult to try and hold your own in this mid lane. It's kind of where you've got that window of opportunity against the Akali, but I don't know why Kadai is here. Like, you don't get any more information from having this, like, ward slightly further forward.
You're taking the dragon as well. Like, the objective that you would set that ward up for is already gone. Like, your ward's gonna die before the next one.
Now, look, do I think it's going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things? No. Zika will potentially kill BuBu here.
I mean, they're going to try and make it work. BuBu, they have got the Undying range. He flashes away to try and make sure he cannot get the reset. The Heartbreaker down as Zika with the Crescent Guard of Shun keeps his top laner alive as the mid and support of WE try to make this one work. But 2 swift kills. Now IG starting to turn on the gears.
Really good flash from Zika to avoid that CC, and it means that now WE starting to fall apart a little bit on this top side. 2 kills going towards Shun means he'll get his Gourd Drinker, but still going to be Zika kind of even in that top lane. You can see BuBu so close with that healing to be able to turn that fight, but just isn't enough. And with that attention on top side, IG push in bot, push in mid, getting some turret plates in their favor as well. So suddenly, what was looking like a very WE favored game, starting to even up for IG.
I mean, yeah, looked at across the board, you're basically able to even up the deficit you had in mid, the deficit you had in bot. You are actually miles ahead in terms of the jungle. It is all of a sudden just turning back in IG's favor, and this is kind of why our expectations coming to this was that this team should be able to kind of roll over WE without, you know, for lack of a better term.
You can see though with Zika just running down view here, it's very easy to land the needlework. This flash here, just barely able to get over the mob, but bot side were not diving. It's gonna get the tower. Feels a bit unnecessary with a singular plate there. But may get the tier 2 pushes. Still, look at where WE in position on the map. A lot of people trying to help Shea on the side lane split push.
And they can't really dive, or rather it would be very difficult to dive. A Gwen has got the needlework just coming back off of cooldown. Shelly will get her second bop. She has done her job. We salute you. And now they come back in. But yeah, out of nowhere, it's a 1,500 gold lead now for IG as WE, despite having that nice early fight and having a lot of early gold here on top of Shea, he hasn't really gone anywhere or done anything with it.
Yeah, I think the big issue though is like where that gold is situated on IG. Because yes, you'll have. Oh, actually, I don't like this Kraken Slayer from Wink. I kind of agree. There's like a lot of backline pressure. I think Gale Force would have been kind of nice for Wink just to have that own his own bit of peel. But yeah, for IG, it's like the gold is situated on Wink, and maybe that's why the Kraken Slayer's here. He's like, I'm gonna have to carry this one. But like Mole, not in the lead. Zika barely in the lead. Like, it's not enough for him to kind of go like, oh yeah, you know, Zika's gonna take over this game, especially since Shea has been smart enough to like match Zika on this side lane pressure. It's far more difficult for this Tryndamere to kill a Kali than it is for him to kill the Gwen, just because a Kali can go invisible for ages, outlast the ultimate on Zika, and then just take him down after that as well. So you can see already Zika giving way more of a wider berth to Shea in this top lane.
It kind of has to. Like you said, he's got a lot of kill pressure. He's got a lot of escapability as well. And I feel like this is just a much better matchup for WE to take at this very moment in time. We got first items being picked up. Of course, you mentioned the Kraken Slayer. On the other side, that Xing has got himself the Gale Force as he stacks up the last few ticks of that cull as well. Divine Sunder has been finished up for Beishong, and you have got the Gore Drinker here for Shun. So despite a pretty desperate start to the game here from Shun, he has been able to crawl himself back. Actually has about a 4-camp lead as well, as Dragon spawning in just over 30 seconds. IG look poised to set themselves up to take this objective.
Yeah, it's just that IG shouldn't have been in a situation where Shun's behind. You had 3 winning lanes, should have been able to set yourselves up. Now, yes, they have the control of River, looking for some of these picks. This could be a good time, especially with Bubu not really in a position here. He's only just reset. So IG should hold on to this spot. And WE, unless you can kind of pick off Mole to start off this fight, I don't see a world where you can really carry through.
Well, WE are here. They have got a TP on Shea, who should be able to get it unleashed now, so he should be able to move himself forward. Is he going to flash in? Mole going to be able to run himself back, though, as Kadaya has to use himself and the Solar Flare defensively, but only to just delay the inevitable. No one really there to kind of back himself up. Mole will go in with the last charge of his Spirit Rush to try and land a charm, but IG easily able to pick up that slight overextension and get themselves a first dragon of the game.
I like the idea from Kadaya. Like we just said, Mole was the big issue in this fight, but in that situation, just not able to get the CC train down, and there was nobody really on WE to follow up, so Mole just dashes back. Now you're overextended, and WE find themselves falling flat in that fight. Dragon number 2, not the end of the world going across to IG though, and it is giving Shea good control over these side waves, which honestly favors Shea here in a lot of situations, just with how Zika hasn't really been able to get the ball rolling in this early game.
Yeah, again, like you said, hasn't been able to kind of get his, you know, the oppressive Tryndamere going as much as we possibly can. Rift Herald going to be started, almost certainly going to be taken. Although, as I say that, IG are in the vicinity. I think it'll be too little too late before they actually try and contest it. So yeah, this will be going over to WE, and it's not a million miles away, but we are starting to look at certain players on the side of WE to really bring this home for them, to try and maybe put IG under a little bit more pressure. People like Shea on this Akali is going to be working up towards that second item very, very soon. And that's going to be the big issue here for the side of IG. If they can keep Wink alive, it should be an easy fight for them front to back, but it's all about keeping their carries alive.
Yeah, and I mean, Mole, as you can see, going to be fairly good at doing that himself, so shouldn't have too much of an issue. I think the big problem that I have for IG, though, is kind of the decision making on how they're building. So you're looking at Zika, who, because he's fallen behind now, has gone for Gale Force. Hopebreaker is an insane item against this double AP solo laner because you just get so much value out of the buffed up cannon.
Cannon passive,
and
yeah.
also against someone like Akali who wants to burst you out, against someone like Bubu who has kind of like that big combo in the ultimate. The Hopebreaker giving you all those resistances is just great. But because he's gone for the Gale Force, it now feels like IG are going to be playing more for team fight, which is already where I give the edge to WE. And as you say, like, IG want to try and keep their backline alive. But if you have to try and manage against Xie, who's just running into the mix, Yubu, who's being able to fire off all these needleworks across multiple people, your team fighting isn't as strong. So for IG, poor early decision making now costing them with zero interaction between their mid jungle that went well. Zika not in control of these side lanes now. There's just so many pieces of the puzzle here that IG aren't playing.
Yeah, and I think the big thing when you talk about items as well is that, is it the end of the world? No, but it does delay power spikes. That's the big thing that you want to try and hit on there, is that this delays you in these certain situations. It means you have to try and give up this bot wave because you just cannot contest it whatsoever. You have a Gale Force, you are super, super squishy. Luke is going to walk away here as Wink actually took a fair, decent trade on top of him, so he has to back away. And again, look at these small little increments. You can't defend bot, therefore you lose pressure in mid, meaning you actually lose out on so much around the map. And Zika, he's popped the Undying Rage and the Ghost. They're going to get 3 towers for 1. This is huge for WE.
Yeah, this is massive, and alarm bells going off for IG and their chances potentially at playoffs here. They would have really liked that 2-0 because game difference in a lot of the scenarios that we're looking at where IG make playoffs make the difference. And WE, despite the gold lead, are firmly in control. They're the ones holding the map advantage. They're the one with control of the state. And also just GA, well, might get caught out here.
Well, he's in the Shroud, in the Zhonya's, now in the Death Realm. Well, the Realm of Death. Death Realm was exclusive to Mordekaiser, and that's going to be a pretty easy pickup there. And WE, we were just praising you, and that's probably why they ended up losing that little bit. They couldn't have too much positivity going over to them.
Didn't need to commit the TP from Bubu. I mean, Xie going down sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Like, having that ability to try and play off through sidelines is much more important. Now you can see Zika pushing it topside. I'd actually like to see Zika, like, push this in, then rotate mid with the pressure from Wink, but Lucas should just in time make it there as well. You could potentially look for, like, a mid lane push or mid lane dive, but Shun is resetting, so not going to get that opportunity.
And we're just going to have a bit of a lull in the game. 50 seconds till Dragon spawns. Both teams on a Dragon apiece. And this is just a... I try not to sound too disinterested because obviously this is still a very important series for IG, but it does get a little bit disheartening when you have series like EDG versus RNG and you're like, oh my god, like this is insane, this is amazing. Hell, even the latest JDG V5 series was an absolute cracker, and it's our top teams are that. They are top teams. And then you kind of come down the side, it's just like little small mistakes from these players and these teams that just feel like are so easily fixed that just kind of, you know, you just want them to do better. You want them to be better.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you've got, like, Lyric's favorite player, Mole, Wink. Just about able to get away from that lockdown.
Just about. We're going to have a bit of a reset here as Bubu goes into the mist as Shun been isolated away from his team. He needs to be careful. There is no tower here as he gets jumped on by the solo laners here of WE, and now a fight can really ensue. There's 2 quick kills as Mole and Shun are dead. Zika trying to do what he can on the backside, but Wink has already fallen. Zika will lose his immortality and he will die. That's going to be 4 kills to none in favor of WE. IG, what is happening? You are just so disjointed, so disconnected.
But they don't have a team fighting composition. Like, why are they playing as a 5-man unit towards a second dragon? Like, you could go and take tier 2 at top side. You could have gone and got position on Baron. Make sure that you never have to actually go up and try and fight against WE. But now you're in a position where, because of the early mess-ups, Xie, too strong for Zika to deal with a side lane. Even poor itemization from Zika, in my opinion. Yubu is totally fine to just stick with the rest of his team because he's going to be fine in team fights. The whole part has just lost its wheels, and IG really didn't even realize that, you know, that this was going to be an issue in the first place. They just didn't understand what they're supposed to do this game.
I mean, like, you don't have a teleports, you don't have any real way of contesting all these different things. You've lost now a Baron off of spawn. I don't even know if you want to try and fight this. I don't even know if you want to try and contest this. IG, run away, leave. You cannot deal with this. WE own this entire map, and you have to respect that. Oh
No
my
cleanse,
god.
no cleanse.
Oh, no cleanse. He flashes down as we get Kadaya on the backside. Shie going in with the perfect execution. Being made gone just a little bit too far. He has. Lucas will survive just about as there's a Felios now flashing forward. Shing feeling confident. Dragon is still yet to be taken, but IG are falling apart right now, Dagda. I don't know what else to say.
It's a 2-for-1, and Shie down means that you've got to have UV reset to try and match this push on top side. You'll be able to do just that, because Zika was still pushing. So, I know, trying to rush Dragon 4 versus 5. I don't understand the thought process from IG. Especially when you're like, hey, look, this is a team that can play through sides. You want to start cross-mapping. You don't have to fight for these Dragons, but for whatever reason, IG are just getting the global taunt towards fighting WE every time.
Yeah, and this was the start of it. Like you said, you're just fighting into a team fight, which you don't really have position on it. You're also separated. It's just, it feels like they know they don't have a team fight composition, but they're forcing themselves into it. That's just how it kind of feels to me right now. And you lose so much off of this as well. It's 40, you know, it's 41,000 to 39, so it's only a 2,000 gold lead. It's not the worst in the world, but we talked about the late game scaling of WE. We talked about how much harder this game becomes for IG if the Gwen, the Viego, and the Akali can get those 2.5 items. And guess what? The Akali just hit.
It's not looking good for IG here. And especially as we kind of talk about like game difference being so important. Like, the reason, so if they lose this series, they can only get to 7 wins. And FPX or OMG are guaranteed to hit 7 wins because they end up facing off against each other. You've also got like the head-to-head advantage for FPX over IG. You're still looking at maybe hoping that they don't pick up any other wins. Rare Atom as well should be a pick up win. It's just, you're setting yourself in such a bad spot.
You really, really are, and as we see now, more fights coming out as they try and defend against this Baron buff, which is still ticking for another 20 seconds. Shun, though, that Crescent Guard's going to guard absolutely nothing. They go in onto Wink. He's dead. Tower goes down. We do see Shie going golden for a second, and he gets out alive. Are you serious right now, IG? You can't even kill off the 1 HP Akali, and it's all gone to crap. Nothing is left. They're going to, honestly, they could end the game right here, right now. They have the minion wave.
Yeah, WE have done it. We said that we wanted to see them play for pride, and they have stepped up massively. WE here, gonna take game number 1.
What an unbelievably just one-sided win from WE, and it wasn't like they absolutely played them off the map. This was just plain and simple IG making massive errors.
It's just not playing through any of the parts of the map where they were strong. Like, don't get me wrong, WE did a really good job to try and like answer back, but see Shun go for this initial engage. Mole, despite having push, isn't even leaning over towards the side that Shun is invading, so he's then late to the party. You actually see the Akali who's shoved under tower, not like the one that gets to the play first. You're then looking at, you know, the ability for Mole to try and look for these roams. Mole is just stuck in the mid lane. Shun is trying to go for a dragon that Bubu just walks up to, and you've got a numbers advantage. It just felt like nothing was being used that from the advantage that IG had. We talked about, look, you've got a slow push a bot, maybe you look for a dive bot tower. They didn't go for that. They just did nothing. And
Yeah,
as we said at the start of the game, if WE got to a point where they could just scale into it, they were going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what happened. They got hyper-accelerated. The Akali, the Viego, the Gwen, even the Aphelios, which we know 200 years and late game scaling. It's not much else you can really do about it. And again, this is kind of the big issues we've had with IG, the identity. And they had an identity coming into this game. They just didn't know what it was. They didn't know how to work around it, how to play around it. And it just felt like even the positives we have for IG, which is their early game, just fell apart. I don't even know what happened.
It doesn't make sense to me at all. Again, identity crisis for IG. But let's start looking at WE. Shie coming in, I thought he had a great game. This Akali worked out really well. Getting that early kill definitely gave him a lot of control here against Mo, which helped out substantially. And then in team fight, Shie was a monster. This Akali was incredible. Like, consistently getting like multi-man perfect executions, consistently threatening Wink in the backline. And this is why, again, we said for the Kraken Slayer build, doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. You need the Gale Force to kind of reposition to get away from Shie, but Wink was just under so much duress this whole time thanks to the way that Shie played. Just couldn't get away.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. We mentioned it multiple times. If those champions can get onto Wink, Wink can't be a Jinx. Wink can't do the late game carry thing that we know this Jinx can do. And sadly, we'll be adding to the loss column of Jinx worldwide, in terms of global win rate. But this is honestly such a scary moment for IG, because even though if they lose today, they're not technically out of playoffs, but then they need to win all 3 games, and even then they need the likes of OMG or Rare Adam to lose and FPX, to be perfectly honest, to lose all the rest of their games, and even then there's a chance they might not be able to get into there. It's such a precarious situation to be in that honestly you're putting your faith into the miracle run effectively.
Well, look, I'm not going to lie. Bit harsh, but I don't know if I want to see this IG in playoffs. Like, this is a team that, they've kind of lost the early game aggression that we saw with Uikai being able to play off through side lanes. They've lost the ability that kind of made them strong, like, to actually play this 1-3-1. And their team fighting is looking all over the place. And if you're going to play team fighting, well, then pick a team fighting composition. Don't go for a composition that has a Tryndamere in the top side that's looking to split push. Don't go for the, Ghost and the Flash. Like, actually play for a team fight, which is not what IG are doing.
No, they are not. Well, we're going to send it to a quick break. When we return, we'll see if WE can make it a quick 2-0 or if IG have something to say about this series. We'll see you guys soon.
I don't know, they've got their ultis available, and Herald's not going that fast. As Mark gets the dredge line in, Ignite down, and with 10 kills, I'm ready for some more. Making up for game number 1 as Weiwei started off on the end. Crescent Guard with a 2-level lead in the jungle. Weiwei having a great time as everyone's forward. Look in the back line. Knight with a Shadow Surge. He's got to reset. He's got to reset. We want to see him go in. He lands on top of Fofo. Will he take it? The Eye of the Herald popped it, needs to go down. He's taking yet another kill. Shadow Surge was not taken and completed as he picks up his double. And when you think top esports are out, just remember that Knight exists.
I mean, I think he still, as Yukai, can come back into his mid.
Oh no, he's going to go straight in on top of him. He gets some full damage down, even commits his flash. Thicka should just about survive. But the Ignite does give you vision, so if you're in the Shroud and you're ignited, it will still be able to kind of point you out. As you can see a flash forward as they go in. They're going to try to get him underneath the tower, but a knock-up. Cheated is dead. LNG's bot lane not to be caught out. They get a perfect combination. They stop that gank dead in its tracks.
They want this tier 1 tower real bad, and LGD knows it. Shadow behind enemy lines. This is an opportunity as Mako goes under the tower. TP being channeled, but Shadow's too late to the play. His teammates are already falling. Gets an ulti on in, but it just doesn't matter as the Gnar comes through. Shadow late to the play that he was setting up. Trying to chase them down, they're trying to find the opportunity. EDG continuing to move as a group. No rise in this game, so there are no roll-up shenanigans. There is no way out. And now with TP from Xiaosheng behind the play. EDG go for the engage, but the Shadow Surge, Xiaohu with one already, finds a reset for himself. Can they find more is the question. EDG trying to disengage, but Viper doesn't have a way out. Slammed into the wall, walloped down, and now Xiaohu finds the back line. RNG just say no to EDG. They're not allowed to do anything. They're not allowed to go anywhere. Not even you, JJ, as Xiaohu shuts them down.
Like a siren without a warning. You never know what hits you if you wake up in the morning like a temptress in a red dress. Seduction is destruction, so you better get a move. Danger, danger, that's where you're going. The heart is open, your blood is overflowing, baby. Danger, danger, that's where you're headed. Got your pedal to the metal, and life is not ready, baby. Yeah. I'm gonna use you
path of sin. Now I've already gone to somewhere I know is waiting.
下一场对阵埃及战队，徐选手是一个非常凶狠的选手，喜欢反野，然后我会保护自己，也去多帮助队友。下一场对阵埃及获胜的必要就是我们5个人沟通齐一点，然后打团打好一点。
Funny enough, he did every single thing in that interview. Better communication, better team fights, knew that Shun was going to invade and just needed to play better. I mean, like that's literally what happened. That's a summary of what happened in that game.
Yeah, I mean, everything was just like, I mean, literally level 3 invade. Beishang wins because you get Xie is able to come across first. You get the better team fights because Xie is fed as all hell. Yep. And unsurprisingly to everyone involved, Xie was the MVP for that game because by God did Xie pop the hell off.
Xie was in fact the X factor for WE in that game, and on the Akali he was just able to find his mark. He was able to find himself onto the backside, and in such a short game having 30% of the damage percentage is pretty decent.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, to give Xie's due, like, he has been a super strong kind of melee mid player. Like, when you look at the champions that he kind of thrived on back in like 2020 when he was a little bit more stable, it was a lot of these like Kassadins, the Annas, and the Silases, and Akali now just kind of fits into that style super.
Yeah, it really does. And this was just WE punishing IG over and over and over again, and at the end of it all, it just meant that there's just nothing IG could do. Like, this game ended in 23.5 minutes because IG just kept going for team fights inside a comp that looked like it was built to go for winning side lanes in a 1-3-1 or a 4-1 or whatever way you want to work it. It just felt like they just weren't playing the right style for what their composition was built to do.
Yeah, look, it's kind of given IG a stickler, but yeah, I mean, honestly, this game was kind of over from like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
IG hadn't done anything with the 3 winning lanes that they had. They hadn't moved around the map. In fact, Shun had fallen behind in the early stages because of that gank that they, the invade that they didn't play around. So, I mean, WE correctly played it out, and that's what I think we have to give WE their credit for. Is like, look, this was WE finding ways to shut down Shun in the early stages, like Beishang had said, and then moving over into, hey, I'm actually going to start to pick up steam here with Xie matching sideway pressure from Zika very well, and then moving into team fights where they're strong. So we'll have to see what the plan is for IG. Back on the red side, in theory, could end up with a double blind pick or double counter pick like they did in the last game, but when banned away means that we're going to probably see, I was going to say the Jinx, but Beishang actually wanted to make sure that he gets the best side of the equation in the jungle matchup.
I mean, given how the last game went with Xing on the Aphelios, it didn't feel like there was as much of a discernible difference between the Jinx and the Aphelios. I'd say he's comfortable with either side of it and just saying, look, I'm going to take what after the Volibear and the, or even the Lee Sin, I would say is probably one of the best junglers on the patch right now. So having that extra skirmishing power, Beishang, we know how much he can do with this pick. And this time around, though, I was going to say that IG did not ban away the Rakan from Kadaya, but now they're going to pick it first. So this feels like they're drafting themselves into a little bit of a hole right now because the Rakan has so many things that just do well against it.
Yeah, especially in these early stages, you've got the opportunities to go for things like the Nautilus. Leona does well against the lane, but Rakan tends to do better outside of lane. But they are going to go towards the Hecarim here for Shun, so definitely setting up for a good dive composition. Wouldn't be surprised to honestly see this Rakan paired with something like the Xayah. Especially with the Jinx going to be picked up here for Xing. I think Aphelios Rakan is just a bit weak. And it looks like with the Rakan as well, going for the TK, so having a lot of control, I will say, in the lane phase. But personally, I honestly kind of like Rakan into Tam Kench. I think he can have a pretty good time because you tend to get the double charm, which doesn't help out massively. In these situations, it's like anything that can CC both the Jinx and the Tam Kench usually works pretty well because Tam just can't get away then.
Yeah, it's a bit of a 2-for-1 deal. The Tam kind of not really able to get himself away. I will say that Tam Kent should be able to keep that Jinx safe and get people out of very precarious situations. IG now putting the respect onto the Akali this time around and saying, look, we're not going to give Xie that pick. We're not going to let him just take over the game. And this is where the game starts to become a little bit more, I suppose, changed, I should say, for IG, because you tried to go for winning lanes, winning early game, winning everything for you in the first 15 minutes. That went horribly wrong, and now you got to go with much more different style. It looks like they're trying to go towards a much easier to execute, like, team fight balance of the Rakan, the Hecarim running in, and you have the late game insurance with the Aphelios.
But again, is that the Zika style? Like, this was actually a conversation that we had in rehearsal, that personally, if I'm going to play with Mole and Wink into team fights, I think Nani's the better option in the top side. This has been the guy that's been able to play and shown that he's very capable in these team fights, providing that engage tool, being that front line. But Zika has still opted in towards these more 1-4 split pushers, and that's why we're seeing the split push bans coming through. Emil taking off the board. Maybe even get the Tryndamere ban coming through. It's definitely been a case of, yeah, there again, and even Aurelian, like, again, doubling down on this split push pressure. It's not Zika's style to play these team fights. Now, we will get counterpick here, so we'll have to see what WE decide to go for. Like, Jace gone, Gnar kind of seems to be the last big blind pickable champion for Pew Pew, but again, Tryndamere does relatively well into that, if IG want to try and play that style again.
Well, it is going to be the Vex for Mole in the mid lane. Does mean you can't really go in, or rather you would have to be very confident to go in with something like a LeBlanc into that mid lane if you are feeling it. Bubu, like you just mentioned, hovering towards that Gnar, very safe in the top side, can go a multitude of different builds. We have seen the Hullbreaker Triforce, we have seen the Divine Sunderer, or even the Stride Breaker into the Deadman's Plate, or even you know, Randuin's if you're really feeling the crit damage coming out. So there's lots of different variants you can go with the Gnar depending on what your team needs. So nice catch all there. Now WE, they got to figure out where they want to try and finish off this composition. And Xie, honestly, I was just about to say, is like the Ahri could be a very, very powerful pick here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably is the best bet here. Brave, blind, or well, does well against the Vex. Relatively well, I will say, against the Vex. Can have good control, good side lane pressure, great in team fights. And now we got to see what Zika's decision is to go for. The Riven was banned away in the last game, and we are going to get it again. Very strong pick into the Gnar, and something that can have some access into team fights, like does have a good shield, can provide some CC, but at least now for IG, it's kind of the almost the best you get with Zika for a team fight, apart from, like, I was looking at his total career stats. He has some games of Wukong in there, but outside of that, pretty much everything else is that split push pressure.
Yeah, again, we're going to see the Riven. This has been a little bit of a pocket pick here for Zika, as he's able, or Zika, I should say, as he's able to kind of bring it back into the light. Hasn't had the most incredible of impacts overall in this game so far, but does give you a lot of opportunities. And again, like something like the Gnar, when you have that early burst damage with that triple stack on the Q, you can put a lot of pressure onto the mini Gnar form.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing here, is like being able to close that gap is wonderful, and kind of keeping Gnar on his toes. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bubu go up towards something like the fleet footwork, just to give him a bit more movement speed and ability to kite out Zika when he tries to jump on top of him. I'm just looking here, because I know we've seen the Riven here before from Zika against BLG, and it wasn't to breathe on the Gwen, so not a regular matchup that we see, but did take the Ignite last time, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that similar choice here. And if Shun then can maybe try and play up towards this top side, see if they can bully out this now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing here, is going to be seeing what they can do with this effectively counter pick. This is what they want to try and put into this matchup and how they want to make it work. It's going to be a very, very curious game. At IG effectively playing for their playoffs lives right now, excuse me, as they lose this 2-0, they put themselves in such a difficult position. They will be in the situation similar to LGD, where they're going to need a multitude of different situations. It's almost like a 0.001% chance of happening, because they not only need series to go in their way, they also need game score to go in their way. So it's going to be even harder if they lose this one 2-0.
I mean, look, I'm just going to say it. If they lose this, IG just aren't going to playoffs. Like, there's no way. You lose to the last place team, then you expect to take down top esports, FPX, and Weibo Gaming. Like, that's just not a thing. So, honestly, this for me was like the make or break for IG, and so far, they're looking pretty damn fragile.
Yeah, it's not been a fantastic start to this game, and well, it had so many positives, or start to the series, I should say, but it had so many positives for IG. Definitely starting to come into a little bit more of a harsh reality of life about whether or not they're going to be able to make it. And like we said, we're into day 4 of week 8, so we got 1.5 weeks left. You know, a full weekend of games to come out, and a little bit extra, obviously, after that, of course, because of the OMG series being delayed. But you are running out of time, and again, you're putting yourself in a situation where it might not even be within your own hands. So, IG, you got to start the momentum now. And this is something that we want to see as well coming out from the side of WE, is that, like, you know, they're fighting for pride. They're fighting to kind of put themselves in a good place to put that pride is going to be against this jungle matchup, because we've seen it multiple times now, is that when you pick the Hecarim into the Xin Zhao has got massive early prio.
Yeah, and I think the Beishang wants to try and use that up into the top side. I was looking at Bubu's rune, actually using the Halo Blades here. So not wanting to actually go for the safer option, which is the footwork. He wants to try and fight fire with fire. And specifically, this is going to be in the first few levels, because Riven really does get strong when she hits that level 3, has full access to all of her abilities.
They get the cleanse out of Xing as the Ignite to come down. So it's going to be a trade of combat summoners here. No flashes burned just yet, but this is the priority you can get with the Jinx.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what you need in this scenario. And yes, you've got the kind of half range advantage with Rakan, but it doesn't matter. But I want to come back to this top lane matchup, because as you can see, like, Bubu doing a relatively good job of, like, trading thus far, trying to use that Halo Blades, but Zika will get very strong at level 3. That's why you look at where Beishang's path, he moves straight up towards his top side, and that's why Zika is now going to die.
Yeah, he's going to try and go for it. He's even used part of the Q there, and there's going to be little or no extra mobility here for him. He does have himself the flash should he need it, but he's not going to be allowed to use it. That's going to be the kill down in that top lane. As Xing goes down, Zhong not to be outdone in this trade is going to get back a trade in the bot side.
And it looks like IG have kind of decided, look, we're not actually going to go towards Zik in this game. This is where we are fully going down towards our carries. Play through the bot side for Wink, play through Mole, see if we can get control over the map, because this Zika game plan hasn't been working out thus far. And just a nice gank route here from Shun, gets in behind them, manages to just eke his way in past Xing. I think Xing kind of needed to invest that flash earlier, just so then it's Shun running underneath the tower if he wants to try and get the knockback, but just unfortunate there for the Jinx. And now Beishang, he's everywhere.
He is everywhere. They're going to get the... Ooh, the charm doesn't quite land. You do have the personal space here for Mole, so he should just be fine. Flash for flash in that mid lane, and we are starting to see this WE team. They're getting a bit of momentum behind them.
And they're starting to look like they kind of know where they want to play. Twice now we've seen, like, Beishang having Xie's help, or at least Xie now getting help from Beishang. They're putting down Zika in this top lane, and even Bubu. This is something we see a lot, him kind of just roaming around the map.
Here we go, though. They're going to flash engage here. They're going to try and get on the Xie. He doesn't go down just yet, and you have no way of getting out of here, Mole. IG overcommit. They don't have the numbers advantage, and they lose the kill in the end.
Someone check on Lyric. Someone make sure that he's okay, because I feel like he's going to be crying himself into his V5 shirt with Mole. Just be like, look, he was so good holding on to his plushie, but now this ain't it, IG. Now, again, overextending in the mid lane. They nearly get Xie, but nobody willing to commit. You got Bubu once more getting these really nice roams off, and kind of understanding, hey, look, in these matchups, I'm not going to win. Like, against the Tryndamere, he knew he wasn't going to win. Against the Gwen, he's 15 CS down. He knows he's not going to win. So he's just like, cool, I'm just going to go play with the team. And IG consistently getting caught out because there's just no vision for them anywhere on the map. They don't know where the movements are. And Xie, I don't know how he survives this. Absolutely insane. But one of the big things is you do get that nice little bit of healing when you get the kill off of champions for Xie. But it didn't even matter. It was just him not going down at all.
Yeah, and that's why runes are very important. Kadaya's Guardian giving him enough of a shield right at the end there to basically keep him alive. And this is just kind of becoming a bit of an issue now. This is becoming a bit of a problem for the side of IG, as Lucas going to take some more harassment on his own, as Dragon should be started and secured here by the side of IG. That being said, though, you can see on the mini-map as Beishang is running down, but with decent ward control here and it's a decent start as well, they should be able to secure this. So IG will get themselves, at bare minimum, a early Drake to their name, but it's about where they're able to make everything else happen, because they are waiting for level 6s like nothing else right now. Still waiting for Mole. Still, pretty much everyone's on level 5s. They're waiting so desperately to try and get those big power spikes with those big ultimate abilities.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if they get them or not. I mean, at this stage, it's like Xie gonna start to roam around the map. Beishang once more, putting a ton of pressure on the map.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And it's going to be such a good setup there as my screen froze just for a second as the fight came in. Now Shun's going to try and make something work, but Xie's got himself a Spirit Rush, dodges away from the Shadow Surge. And that's going to be a pretty easy setup. And this is WE. Honestly, this is them dominating right now. They are just owning the rest of the map, and IG are looking so scared as Zika will have to flash away. BuBu fancying himself.
Hey, I fancied him there. That was pretty damn clean there from BuBu. I mean, just about able to get that play off. Zika now trying to play threatening, but I mean, it's kind of a dog with his tail between his legs at this stage. This is just not happening for IG, and honestly, this is brilliant from WE. You know what? I'm moving the conversation away from IG. I'm fed up with talking about them. WE, this is phenomenal. Like, BuBu having a great laning phase. Beishang looks like he's back in control, really working well with Xie, like consistently now across both games, and Hidayah feels like he's kind of found his mojo again. Like, these have been really solid engages in the bot side. Xing kind of playing up well in lane. Like, this is much more confident from WE. It's sad we had to wait for week 8 for it to come together, but certainly if this team is kind of looking at summer, it feels like they're starting to put things in the right place.
And that's the big thing as well. Like, yes, they are looking towards summer split. They are going to be waiting a couple of extra months before they can really kind of come together. But this is still very important for the side of Team WE. And honestly, I've been so impressed to see with Beishang finally coming back in. We know how good this guy can be, and he is making it work for his team. With 3-0 now on top of this in Zhao, he's going to be able to just affect these lanes so much more effectively, and he has done that. He has been top lane, mid lane, bot lane. He has been everywhere he needs to be, and that's what's making such a big difference here for the side of Team WE. And honestly, fair play to them, because it could have been, they would have been all within their right to just, you know, lay down, accept it, go back, but no, they are trying their hardest to make sure this is a win for them. And honestly, with Shun now running towards that mid lane, they are going to have the charm come out, but the onslaught of shadows is just too little too late. Like, I don't know. There's nothing else you can do. Now you don't have that massive teamfight ultimate.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta give props to Beishang, because this is a bit of a different style than what we've seen him play in the past. He is definitely playing far more for the lanes. Like, it was very rare in 2021 and even 2020 to see Beishang at a CS disadvantage, but playing it well, making sure his lanes are all set up, and especially against Bull, who he used to play with for a tiny bit on WE before Shanks took over in that mainstay role. It's got to feel pretty good for Beishang to kind of just remind his old teammates how things were like until now.
Yeah, I mean, WE still one of the oldest organizations in the LPL alongside IG. This is a very historical and storied matchup between these teams. One with a little bit more success than the other, I think it's fair to say. But for WE, they are just putting them to the sword right now. It is still only about 1,000, not even actually, about a 700 or so gold lead in favor of Team WE, but again, they're the ones that are trying to just make this one work. I see the Ignite coming down onto BuBu. You do have the Sword of the Exile coming in, but it's not quite enough damage in time and time again. We're seeing these little small things just not work out for IG and WE. They're getting away with it, and they're going to be able to capitalize from it.
Yeah, just been able to step back there. BuBu making sure that he's all fine and dandy. Now WE wanting to make plays on Hidayah. Kind of gives up the jig there. Go, oh wait, no, we're ready.
You didn't see nothing. Oh, shush. It's like,
I am just
like
a whisper in the breeze.
I'm gone. Yeah, it's like you get a child or a dog, and it's just like, you can't see me, and it's just like, sure, okay then.
But look, it's all good. Mole not going to be under too much duress just yet, but honestly, like, let's take a look at like the scaling options on here, because it feels like with WE in the position they're in, their team fight is phenomenal. We've seen what Ares can do in team fights, especially with the extra dashes. They're getting full control of the map here. You can see Shun losing space in his own jungle, and Xing is in a great spot. We've seen this double cull on bot side as BuBu, nice little bit of damage, but Xing is going to be able to scale up. Phenomenal front line, very little back line threat. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Kraken Slayer, that's the word I was looking for, come in over the Gale Force. Bit of an argument maybe if you're looking at people like Shun, but I think with Hidayah there to keep you safe, you should be alright. So overall, it feels like WE, even with the minor gold lead they have, are just going to be in so much control. Even Beishang here, you can see, takes Rift Herald, moves up towards top side, and just making sure that BuBu, the one lane that maybe was a bit of a question mark for WE, is firmly in their control.
Yeah, it's like you got a counter matchup, but did you? As they're gonna get the full charge off, they won't get the full tower just yet. BuBu actually got no gold from that, sadly enough. So that's a little unfortunate. And
as we now see the bot lane of WE, Xing just paying respect right now. And now Zika, he's in a lot of trouble. He needs to be so careful. He needs to get himself over the wall. He would have been dead. Bubu will pick up the solo gold there on the top side. And now he's trying to find himself everywhere and nowhere. He will fall down. Xie picks himself up that kill. And this is WE just playing smarter, playing quicker.
Yes, and IG will get the dragon. Shun does stop because he doesn't have Spite. It will not be stolen by Xing, but I don't think they really care. 2 towers potentially going across here off that Rift Tower charge and top side, or at least the tower and a good bit of damage on that top side. You've got Ari full control here for mid with Xie, and you're not even getting like the likes of a tower dive or really losing too much out. And for WE, it was much more about, hey, look, let's get ourselves into a firm gold lead, and now we can always just go back towards dragons. We can always make sure that we're in a position for the following Rift Tower. Like, continue to just keep this pressure up against IG.
That's the big thing, it's just pressure. IG, yes, they got themselves a second dragon. Well done to you. It is a Hex Rift, so we might see some Hex Gate action coming in for any of these sides, but it's a 3,000 gold lead. It is a massive issue as we look at this replay here. As Zika, it's just going to be him blocking it, not respecting that Beishang was just there 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's just really weird to me. It feels like Zika may be thinking, oh yeah, even if he does try to get on top of me here, I can just get away with the dashes and with the hop over the wall. He won't be able to follow, but not respecting Xie push mid, or even just respecting with the early Gore Drinker picked up here for Beishang. He actually does a lot of damage. It's a substantial amount of damage. As Lucas now, maybe fishing for Xie.
Yeah, he's going to go in with the flash quickness. They're going to be able to get the fear down as well. Xie just accepting his fate, not going to burn his own flash, does not have the spirit rush to be able to keep himself out there, so IG will get themselves back a counter kill in that mid lane.
It's at least a little bit of something. A bit of gold over towards Mole, a bit of gold is going to help out substantially when you get towards these fights as well, just because you're going to have the a lot of dashes and a lot of like dive potential coming in on WE. Relatively short range front line for WE as well, so big fears could make a difference. Also, if you can get on towards like Xing in the backline, maybe that's how you can try and execute on these fights.
Now you've got the Hull Breaker finished up here for Bubu, so he's sitting pretty up on that top side. It's going to be very difficult for Zika to have any real impact, and this is the thing as well, like you pick the Riven not because you feel like it's going to have a team fight presence, or not because you feel like it's going to be able to do a lot for your team, or you know, around these skirmishes, but you picked it because you want to try and win the lane. You want to try and push up, get an early advantage, and just become like, you know, you have to send multiple members to it. Now it's the opposite. Bubu can sit in here, top side, level 11, very happy just to take as much time as he needs, and he's the one with teleport. Zika doesn't, so this is actually just a horrible situation now for the Riven.
And Bubu is going to be able to shove in that wave. You're going to be able to rotate Bubu to mid to cover the mid push. You rotate everyone, Xie, Xing, Beishang, Kadaya, now down to the bot side to make sure that then you can get this bot lane turret. You've just got a nice kind of stepping stone into a strong mid game here for WE. We'll take a quick rest, stop for a lunch break. That is that Rift Out, which might mean Xie is in trouble.
Does have the Spirit Rush, gets himself out, not too bad there. Quickness not expended, nor was the Onslaught of Shadows, so they get the Summoner out for absolutely nothing. Or Summoner, excuse me, Ultimate out for absolutely nothing. Rift Herald, like you mentioned, being taken here by the side of Team WE. They are going to be able to get that big objective back to themselves, but the important thing in terms of the timing here is that they are going to have that Rift Herald now in the back pocket for when this dragon spawns in a minute 45. That can create a little bit of pressure. No, never mind, they want the pressure now, Dagda. They do not care about waiting for these dragons. They know they need to hit IG hard and fast.
Yeah, I mean, this tower is going to go down quick. You had Vex who's pushing in that bot side, so Mo not in a position without TP to really follow up on this, so quick tower taken. We'll get the charge here as well onto the tier 2. And again, this is just about getting gold into their hands before this next fight. Kraken Slayer, finish for Xing. Xie will have that Everfrost. You've already got the Hull Breaker completed for Bubu as well, which means he's totally fine now in this side lane matchup. IG trying to establish vision control in this jungle and maybe look for a pick before this dragon kicks off. Means though they are going to be a little bit late on the resets and actually might fully reset here. Mole the only one sticking around.
Yeah, it looks like both jungle and support going back to try and pick up some wards. Zika now going to try and find Xie in that mid lane. It should be able to just kill him off. And this is the second time now Xie is just not really respected where the rest of the IG team was and has been caught out pretty easily.
I will say he kind of knew where Zika was. I think just you needed to commit the flash. No Spirit Rush meant that Zika was able to close that gap fairly easy. Just a mistake from Xie. And again, as you say, That's actually may lead them to issues for this Dragon, but Zika is now resetting the top side.
Oh, Shadow Surge. They're going to get the spear off of the Kadaya, who's taken very low. He finally gets the great health off, but not before he dies down straight away. As Shun goes in, they're going to be able to pick off the jungler. That's the key carry, as now Xing is just pushing forward, unafraid, as Wink gets pushed back. He will get the fear off on the base shot, but they flash in there with Pew Pew, means that the boomerang is just enough to take him down. Mole is in a very precarious position, but does have the fear, and that's going to be the Dragon going over to Team WE, and what looks so good for IG ends up ending in disaster.
I mean, you just needed to be patient for IG. It takes 30 seconds for you to walk from base. There was 37 seconds on that timer as Zika would complete his recall. Zika, as you can see, could have been here wonderfully for the Dragon. All you have to do is hold off. But instead, they try to take that fight. They end up overextending, and just Beishang, with how fed he is able to work so well in this fight. Like, again here for Xie, like, you're not surprised. Like, you know that Zika's going to be coming for you, just moving around. Thinks he has a little bit more time, thinks he's going to be alright with the flash. Misses the charm, doesn't have time now, and just the CC chain is too strong.
This is why you pick the Riven. The Riven is able to get that stuff set up for yourself, is able to set up so much of a solo pressure to it is. And I will say, like, yes, Kadaya does go down, but he absorbs so much before he finally falls.
But it's also like Mole here not able to get the damage that he wants off because Beishang has the present guard.
Beishang is here, but I don't know why he's here. As we're going to see the Shadow Surge coming out. They're going to get the resets now onto this ability as they got 1, 2, maybe even 3. Hip, scop, and a jump. I got that completely wrong. It was hop, skip, and a jump is what I wanted to say. My brain just decided to lag. It went for hip hop, but IG get themselves a kill. They lose a tower on the bot side. They get themselves a tier 1 in mid, and this is going to be 4 kills for none. And what looked like actually WE looking for a fight.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened there. We're going to need a repeat of what the story was, because WE very separated, very overextended, especially with Bubu in this bottom side. We weren't in a position to try and follow up. Here we go. Like, Bubu pushing bot side. Beishang thinks he can get the pick on Mole, but very nice lockup of the double Everfrost. And at that stage, WE are just overextended. They're literally trying to collapse onto Wink, but IG just able to get there first. This happened again!
What is going on? They are going to be able to get Bubu out. He has got himself his ultimate though, and that's going to be 3-man knock back in as WE are turning it back around. They will trade back the AD carry for the top laner. IG now running for the hills as Xie really wants this. He knows Lucas doesn't have a lot of mana, but he does have a flash. And he's going to be able to miss it! The super mega death rocket off on the backside means that Xing makes this a positive play for the side of Team WE. And it's throw after throw. It's a game of catch right now, Dagda.
It's Zig and Zag. When you're running away from straight line projectiles, Zig and Zag. He didn't zag, he didn't zig, and now he's in the base dead. Lucas goes down. Zika is pushing on the bot side. And, I mean, you've got a lot of control established here for WE on this top side. This is the tower going down, the gold as well. It's still all even when you look at the gold score in the top, but again, the better team fighting composition is there for WE if they ever get a full team fight though, because this has been a little bit messy when it comes to WE actually setting up correctly, but either way, they're still coming out on top of these skirmishes. IG tried to establish vision control here, but yeah, Wink and Lucas way overextended. I mean, look at where Shun is. Shun's on the bottom side of the map, and you're trying to 2-man invade here? I don't understand what the decision making is here.
Yep, it's a hot potato, Dagda. You catch, I catch. You throw, I throw. That's how it works, you know. You just gotta try and figure out what happens here. And this is, sadly, as we're trying to keep it as positive as we possibly can, this is probably very indicative to a 17th place team versus a 14th place team in the LPL. This feels like we shouldn't be that surprised at the style of which this game is being played.
But again, it's like this weird conundrum with IG where BLG, they look unstoppable. Managing to take them down. You look at like their past history with I mean, how they've kind of just performed so far in the split, where they have been able to take games off of some of these top teams, but it just hasn't come together for them again. Like, I don't know what's happening with this team. Like, they take down RA, they take down BLG, and they look really competitive against B5, nearly taking them across the line. They get Baron here, though.
Yep, they get Baron, so they've gotten that objective for themselves. We do see the Moonlight Vigil coming out to dissuade everybody, and it looks like IG should be able to get themselves out. Bubu, though, thinking about it, maybe looking to try and make something work here for the side of Team WE, but IG look like they've got away with daylight robbery.
Yeah, nice job from IG to steal that away. Just WE not respecting how quick IG could turn over towards that objective, and WE now will have position on Dragon, which I think is their main call here to now start stacking these Hex Tech Dragons, but IG are in the area trying to contest. I don't know if they're able to actually win this, but actually looking at where Kadaya is and Beishang, the reset times from WE not the best here and giving IG a lot of space.
Yeah, a lot of space, and honestly, with Bubu going back and no teleport available to him, it looks like this is going to be a forfeit of this Dragon going over to the side of IG, putting them onto Hex Soul Point.
You need to contest this. Like, you can't give it up, and I don't know why Beishang's trying to, like, put pressure in towards topside jungle. Like, you don't care if your top tier 1 goes down. Like, you need to be able to contest vision in your own jungle. What is happening?
The opposite of what you just said, my dear friend, as IG will pick themselves up the Dragon. Oh, it was very close as the Super Mega Jet Rocket did come out, but Lucas walking forward with Mole here. Does have the Shadow Surge and a stack of fear onto him with the Doom and Gloom, so you need to be very careful where you go here on WE, but they do lose out on the Dragon. It's a pretty even game, only about 700 or 800 gold in favor of IG. They have got themselves that Soul Point, though, as Kadaya walks forward, trying to just clear out some of this vision as best he possibly can. Bubu as well, trying to take away some of these camps. And honestly, I feel like you just got to give up this tier 2. I don't think there's a real need for you to try and defend this. With a minute left on the Baron, it feels like this would be a fool's errand to try and defend this against IG.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it. Even with the first move from IG through the jungle of WE just weren't in a position to try and hold on to that. But again, like, like you said it yourself, there's just been so much back and forth here where no team really feels confident to kind of play through the win conditions that they have set up. Now, Shun might get caught.
Oh, he's going for the scuttle, smites it away. Everyone else backs off. No one else going to be going to try and make anything else work off of this one.
I don't understand why WE weren't willing to try and contest this Dragon. It feels like with Xie in the position that he's in, you've got an incredibly strong front line in Bubu and Beishang at this stage. Like, you just buy so much space for Shin to continue wailing away with this Kraken Slayer. For IG, they weren't really in a position that they could have looked for good flanks until WE, like, gave up the river area. So, I don't know. This feels super messy from WE. And IG, they're just kind of saying, hey, look, well, if you're going to give us a ton of space at Baron, we're going to take Baron. If you're going to give us a ton of space at Dragon, we'll just take the Dragon. I don't know why WE are kind of taking this step back.
That's the thing. It's the space. It's the opportunity being gifted over to IG. They haven't been forced to fight for anything just yet, as they try to keep their playoff hopes alive, even by just the smallest of margins. They will finally take down the final outer turret, or tier 1 at least, in that top side, and it's about a 2,500 gold lead now creeping up for the side of IG, and this is just feeling like WE, similar to situations for most of their series, and the longer it goes, the more separated they become.
It's just all over the place. And now, IG at least have, I will say, a lot of control back in this game. You've already got the Magi's there for Mole coming through, Shadow Flame picked up as well. This is where you can actually start to put a good amount of pressure down as Shun does run into WE, but you just need to try and, like, spread this love across the map. You can see Zika pushing in bot. Now he's starting to move to group. Like, you're pulling WE in multiple directions here, and that could give you the opportunity to continue finding these picks and start to push forward even further.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the big thing we kind of go for right now. And IG, they're not out of it just yet. They aren't 100% ahead in terms of this game and this series. They are still waiting for good setups, but I will say you're looking at Mole now with the Magi stacked up to 10. He's got himself that Shadow Flame alongside that Everfrost. He will be a menace on the backside of these fights if he's able to find access. So it is going to be on top of WE and specifically Kadaya to keep this Jinx safe, to keep anyone safe really, because even Xie very, very far away from any kind of second item, so very far behind in this matchup.
Yeah, especially when it started out well for Xie. I mean, kind of surprised to see him fall so far behind, but Mole has kind of been the benefactor of so many of these overextensions from WE, and now in a relatively good spot. Zika once more pushing in top. We're going to kind of take it easy until this Baron in a minute, but if IG are able to set themselves up where they can get access to the backline, they can pick up off Xing, and even Xie to a certain extent as well, it feels like they're just going to be able to barrel their way through this fight. But if you end up with, like, WE playing a much cleaner style of front to back fight, healing correctly for the backline, you kind of got this one-punch combo that IG are working with everyone diving in. If that doesn't land, that's where WE can start to turn the fight.
See if they want to try and turn it, as WE will get first move at the moment onto this dragon. There is a ward there just behind them, just on the back end of that little ramp that goes up to the side of red side of WE, so they need to be careful of that. Mole could get himself behind enemy lines and get himself an absolutely serious flank. We are going to see, though, with 3 items on both these AD carries, they're going to be doing fantastic work. Just as I say about that ward, it is going to be WE clearing it out. Bew is just about to hit Mega, and he jumps onto Lucas, and Lucas needs to use his own Shirelias to try and get himself out of there, and that's going to be a little bit of separation here for the side of IG. They're not quite on the same front.
I mean, how many times have we said that? This series, eh? But now, Bew moving in. They do position on towards the Dragon. IG just looking to trade this onto the Baron. You've got red, white, 4 Wink. He's going to tear through it, and WE starting to mount a defense.
Here we go. There's the Super Mega Death Rocket. They've scattered it out. They know it's going in. Beishong, though, not to be outdone. He's going to try and get in on top of this with the smite. He goes in. He steals it. And WE are right back into us. Now the fight can really ensue. As you can see, Xie just keeping everyone away. Mole goes in with the personal space to try and get himself down on this fight. It is going to be IG turning it around just about in their favor. It's a 3 for 2 so far in favor of IG, and the rest of WE are out the back of the pit.
I mean, 1 kill advantage going over, but the soul is there for IG. TP available for Bew. Has to go mini, will be exhausted. I don't know if WE can actually try and contest this.
I mean, they don't have a jungler on either side. It's going to be a very quick take right now. You can see Xie just running as fast as he possibly can. This is a flip if I've ever seen it. There's no way to 100% guarantee this as the dragon goes down to about 700. He's going to go. Oh my god! Another steal for Team WE. IG just can't take a break as Bew just about to go mega, but will be taken down. Xie is the hero here, and WE survive another day.
WE ordering the double patty, getting both the burger flips there coming through in their favor. And IG, this was super messy. Beishong with the hero play, but you know that there's been so much vision. You know they have a ton of control. And honestly, I don't know why you are committing to this burger flip. You can engage with Heck from over that wall. You've got Lucas and Mo in a great spot. You just kill Beishong, kill Xie, take the fight, but instead you end up flipping the Baron. Now your team fight's super spread out, and even though IG are able to kind of recover the fumble a little bit, then 50-50 in the Dragon as well, I don't know, man. This has just been an absolute mess of a game.
Yeah. There's much else I can really say. It's been entertaining, I will say. You know, that's the biggest difference between most regions, the entertainment factor as such, but yeah, this has been rough for both these sides, and at the end of it all, as we come back into the game, still only a 2,500 gold lead. You're still waiting on Soul here for the side of IG. You haven't really set yourself up for that. Now we're starting to see 3.5 items being picked up across the board. You have the GA now here for Zika. Alongside that, on the other side of that, you have got the Ranjwin's Omen here, and for WE, there's just so much that they could have gotten wrong. There's so many ways that IG could have maybe just ended this game, but the later and later it goes, the more relevant this Jinx becomes, and we've seen it across multiple regions and multiple games. This Jinx is an X factor for these teams.
Yeah, she's just so damn strong, and especially at this point in the game. Now, you'll have to see if IG can try and hold out. 2 dragons apiece. 2 dragons to WE, 3 to IG, 3 minutes until that spawns. Baron is about to run out for WE, so they're not going to be able to get too much off this push. We just have to see if IG can now continue to hold on. This is going way later of a game than I kind of expected it to get to, but it does mean you're getting like 4th, 5th items coming through, as you say, and that could be an issue now for IG, who not going to be able to kind of keep up. Zika as well, who's kind of running afoul of those fighter item nerfs, not being as popular and as strong once you press this 30-minute.
As well as that, and small little thing as well for Mole, he went from 10 stacks to 4. So he lost a lot of his effectiveness. You're also looking at broken stopwatches for Shun, for Mole. You still have stopwatches for Beishong and Xie, so, and as well for Xing. So this is just getting to a point where it is going to come down to execution. It doesn't matter about the gold lead. It doesn't matter about what items you have. It's going to be about how you're able to play these team fights. And I'm being totally honest, I'm not got a lot of faith on IG or yeah, honestly, either of them to team fight correctly.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. This has been a bit of a doozy. I mean,
It's gonna be a throwing competition. Who throws
yeah,
harder?
it's a case of who has the most furniture that they can put those on. So that's what it really is going to come down to. And WE, here comes one more.
Yeah, Bubu is in the backside of this. He will go Mega very soon, but not just before he gets himself devoured. The Grey Hell's going to be used there. They get the knockback as well. It's a very, very separated fight as here comes Shun. Gets himself onto the backside, but the Aphelios has been taken down. You've lost the Gnar for the Aphelios. They will take down the Jinx, but look at the backside of this fight. It's a very scrappy affair between both these sides. At the end of it all, it's a 2 for 2.
Yeah, but WE still have more damage in the tank. Shun is a tank. Lucas is not going to be able to do as much in these fights, and you've still got Xie on the side of WE alongside Beishang, so both teams back away. That was a real weird fight on both accounts, and a lot of stuff burnt there. Flash from Beishang, flash from Kadai as well, to try and keep this Gnar safe. I mean, I don't know why, again, this bot side jungle, teams just willing to overextend so often. On the side, Bubu trying to kite back, does buy time for Kadai, just about to get into position with the flash forward. And again, Shun completely separated from the team. Shun's on the top side of the map here, which means WE actually have the numbers advantage for a large portion of this fight, but with how messy and tight-knit these corridors are, you just don't have the wide berth to like open up for Jinx to kite, for Ari to really use the space correctly, and Xie kind of struggling to get full mobility in this corridor.
We do have a fully completed Zhonya's here from Mole. As IG start to get control around this Dragon Pit. This would be, again, sole point here for IG. Gold means nothing. We're looking at how what our summoners are available. Both AD carries will have flash. Wink just missing his for the moment, so he needs to play a little bit defensively. Bubu goes Mega and needs to start using his ultimate or start to use his pressure a little bit more, but this is good from IG. They're recognizing they don't need to walk forward. As I say that, Zika gets caught, and Zika gets taken down of his GA. They can just turn onto him. Shun's going to try and make this one work. Xing gets caught out with the Shadow Surge, and they're going to get double fear off, but it's just not enough. They kill him twice to make sure this one works. Xie gets himself out with the flash, and this is just going all over the map right now, but it is still WE kind of coming out on top. As I say that, the Aphelios was absolutely popping. That is a 4 for 3. It is still going to be WE, though, to take themselves onto Soul Point.
Yeah, Shun will be chased away. Yubu just trying to stop him from getting over towards the dragon area. Beishang will get it once more, but what are these fights? Like, Zika getting completely caught out of position. IG then trying to mount some sort of hero rescue play from over the wall of blue buff, and I don't know, this is all over the joint.
This game is not over as we look at this one right now, and you can see that Zika is just by himself. So WE say, look, we got the Mega Gnar, we might as well just all in on him.
Yeah, all you have to do is not get caught here with a Zika. Like, you just let Bubu run out of Mega Gnar, and then you can look for the engage. And then, as this GA is coming, the cavalry arrive for IG. They're trying to see what they can do. Xing does get hit by the Shadow Surge, which does give a good access here for Mole. I think that's a really key ultimate there to try and bypass some of the damage, but Xing then just standing in on top of this Aphelios when he comes through as well is just super messy. And again, front line for IG, chasing Xie, back line now completely exposed, and see here, Wink comes up and just absolutely obliterates everyone who's standing on top of him.
Good positioning from Wink. He was right over the blue buff. He had the perfect guns for it as well, the Caloribum, the Crescendum, so getting that extra little bit of range, and you can see by the damage dealt, he was very much the carry in that last fight, but it is not enough. Beishang gets caught out, sort of, but again, it's a tank and a support, not really the people you want to go for. There's a Shrelia's Revelry going to be used. Baron is on the cards. Gold means nothing at this point. We are starting to hit 5-6 items. We'll say, though, for WE, they are looking a little bit more cohesive, a little bit more coordinated as they come into these fights.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I kind of want to talk about, WE, get priority mid, look for it, but they're just getting caught.
They're getting caught. Beishang gonna have to get eaten, or no, never mind, actually. Just gonna let him eat up his GA right there. He gets taken down. Shun now gonna jump onto Bubu, who's about to go Mega very, very shortly, but before he can, he gets taken out. What is this fight? What is this game right now? Is IG out of nowhere find 2?
Yeah, just big mistakes again. WE overextending, Bubu not actually getting to transform, and now Xing trying to use that range advantage he has, but you're 3 versus 5. I mean, this, like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, IG, this is maybe your comeback here, maybe your opportunity to try and close out this game, but this is not a confident win. And this is the same conversation that I had yesterday with Munch. Like, when you're looking at teams like Ultra Prime who are trying to push in towards playoffs, when you look at this game from IG, these are not games where you go, yeah, these are playoff contenders. These are not people that you're like, are not, sorry, not a team that you see hitting the high notes that you need to take down our top teams.
I mean, I don't understand the whole setup of this. Why are they walking forward into no vision? Why are they, you know, face checking these different brushes for no real reason apart from why not, you know? It just, yes, I will say that Kadaya keeping his Devour for Xie does save his life, but that all sort of starts from the fact that Beishan goes into GA, so that's effectively lost gold now until that active comes back up, so it's just, it's a weird game, Dagda. It's a weird series. They wanted us to feel very, it's not even just a weird series, it's a weird day in general, because not only do we have one series, we have this series.
Yeah. Yeah, and as my third day of casting in a row, like, I'm kind of getting to the wit's end.
You're on tomorrow as well.
I'm on tomorrow as well, yeah.
got-
Covering
you
for
got-
Lyric has put me in a long L shift this week, but
Oh, you're on the early one tomorrow. Damn.
the
Sucks
plus,
to you.
it's more so I just, like, I don't know, this is where we're supposed to look for the confident play from IG.
Daya? Okay. I mean, he just walks in knowing that IG were there, and he ends up getting most of his health bar taken and his flash taken away from him, and IG break open the base. This is going to be pretty confident. Bubu, though, maybe looking for an engage here. He's got himself almost into the Mega. It's a minute until the Dragon spawns, so he should be able to go Mega, get that down in terms of the exhausted, and build it back up before that big fight. But this is IG just trying to break open as much as they possibly can.
What is your knowledge of DreamWorks movies and Spirit Valley?
Curious question. Let's find out why you asked.
I just want something else to try and talk about, because this game is upsetting me. IG, though, now with Baron, should be able to push in. Here we go.
Yep.
One
Here
more
we
fight.
go, Shun. Gonna be pushing out towards that side wave, maybe trying to keep himself a nuisance as he jumps onto View. The Dragon spawning in 30 seconds, but it looks like IG don't care about it as Xie is dead. Does not get a chance to flash away, and now Bubu, he needs to make this one work with the Mega Nard. You can see as IG, as soon as they see him go into Mega, instantly dispersed. They want nothing to do with it. That's 2 inhibitors down now, as WE look like they might be on their last legs.
Yeah, they definitely are. Shadow Surge connects.
Oh, it goes in. Xing just about kept alive, but Bubu not so lucky. It's going to be on Xing.
Wait a sec.
Maybe going to be able to get the resets coming in here, but the shields are
Wait a
good.
sec.
He's got his
Xing!
ult. Oh my god, if he hit the AoE there, it could have been huge as they go into GA. Eventually, IG take the win. There was a small moment there for Xing, but he wasn't able to take it, and it is with a heavy heart I say we are going to a game 3.
Have you got that, what are you doing? It was supposed to be over clip.
I do. Hang on, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Man, Lyric.
Yeah, I mean, just slot it in with IG instead. I don't know. This game, this series, this entire decision-making tree that we've managed to tumble down has been weird. Nothing has been clean. Either team could have looked like they could have thrown, and WE just threw that little bit harder. I mean, even down to that final fight. Like, if Xing had aimed the rocket a little bit to the left, he hits the bigger clump. He guarantees that he gets those
I mean,
resets
he gets
and
a
can take
triple
over.
kill probably into a quadra. Like that's a hype play right there. And with the death timers, he probably wins the game. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say. All I know is that was a game of League of Legends by definition. So,
But I had my game yesterday.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
again,
no,
it's-
you had your A game, but then you also had RNG smacking LGD,
Yeah.
which was fun to watch. So you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this isn't fun. We've had Baron steals, Dragon steals, you know.
Yeah, it's just I think for myself, and I know definitely for Lyric, it was like looking at IG and kind of seeing the pieces, what felt like they're falling into place. Like you had one of the big things we had with Shea UG, or sorry, not Shea UG, Uikai was his laning phase was incredibly good. And the rise and the Twisted Fates and all this kind of stuff kind of put a plaster over that, but also like was a bit of a benefit for them as well, because it meant that they could play towards Zika, play this 1-3. Kind of like Mole coming in, kind of just added to that. Right, a guy who's got a really strong laning phase, guy that can still play out towards side lane, still play 1-3-1. Kind of gives you a little bit more opportunity to have a playmaker for these team fights. And it felt like for IG, this was kind of the last hurrah. This was the iteration that maybe, now we're excited about. Now we can see this team push up towards playoffs. But I'm looking at this series and like, why? Why would I want to see you guys in playoffs? You don't know how to team fight. You don't know how to play the map. Like your early game is all over the place. Like it's not Mo's fault. It's just the way the communication the team functions is a strict downgrade from what we saw before this.
Yeah, it is. And we can end this game on knowing that Riven keeps our 100% win rate in the LPL for 2022 spring. We're going to send it to a quick break. And when we return, we will have our third and final game of the day. And we're going to see who comes out clean out of this mud fight that is between these two teams. We'll see you guys soon.
Well, I love that you guys were starting to talk about getting towards the end of the split, because as we got to talk about something serious, all right? Something deadly, deadly serious. I'm going to come up with something spicy. The conversation is about who in the LPL is absolutely elo held, who cannot make anything happen for their team, even though they are the shining stars.
All right.
I'm going to come up with something spicy first. No, this is my time. Do and be is elo held. That's all. Drop the mic.
Okay, well, first I'm going to say hard mode for your lyric. Don't say an 80 carry, because...
Don't say an 80
Come on, guys. My answer is so obvious. My answer...
Oh, no. Is it another easy dub or what?
Dude, I'm just saying he's only played one series. The guy who is elo'd hell is my boy Mole coming in. You know,
I knew it was coming.
Dude, did you see that Zika engaged under turret as Camille, like jumping in by himself while all the other members are walking away? Yes, you saw it because you were there. And me and you were both like, what is going on?
What is happening?
This was a free win. And then game 2. Pulling the Elder. What are you doing? Your jungler just died because he just trolled in. What is going on? I don't care if it's one series. I don't care if you wanted a serious answer, because the answer of my heart, which I think is on this side, is Mole.
I'm glad you knew where your heart was.
There's so much delusion coming in here, honestly.
Just so much.
Between you two. It's kind of tricky, right? I feel like, especially ignoring 80 carries where they're just playing Jinx, I feel like I would probably be leaning towards maybe like Shallow. I feel like it's kind of elo held. I feel like I mean, Rare Adam aren't exactly in a bad place, but I feel like I would say Lian has been Lian's been really good, and it's like the team performance hasn't reflected that.
I feel like Lian's
he was
a
on
top
a better team.
jungler, like 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I think junglers looked like kind of weak overall. I feel like even some of the higher tier teams, I feel like the junglers, like I think like Way on RNG, I think he's looked kind of unconvincing, but
yeah,
I think Lian has looked really, really good, and I think if he was on a different team, then he would be at the top, right? I feel like his drive has been pretty good, especially since his debut. But yeah, I'd say Lian's probably my first pick, and then like honorable mention, Shallow. I would have said Tarzan, I think.
Tarzan not doing
until the recent series. I agree.
Yeah, until the recent series, I feel like he looked really. That's the sad thing. It feels like it's way down on him. He was so elo held. He's now just like, when you played like 17 solo queue games in a row, and you just have these games where you're just losing despite anything you do, and then by the end of it, you just crush.
You're just like, I don't care.
You're the Inter.
So I said do and be at the beginning of the conversation, but I will actually change it. Well, add another one at least, but. Betty for anyone's legend, man. Betty has had
Zoxmaldic,
man. I'm hoping so.
Dude,
I will say Betty has shown up this split.
I agree.
And unfortunately for him, he's on anyone's legend.
Yeah, but I feel like one of the things was I feel like Betty was one of the early adopters of just pink. There was like this big spree of games like he was just picking Jinx. Like,
don't
every
do
game.
that to him. Don't put him in that corner. Okay.
It was like so many games in a row. He was just picking Jinx, and he was one of the early adopters of pick Jinx every game. And then teams started to stop him getting it, and it's been a bit, hey, I think he's still been solid. I definitely think like it's a fair point, but I feel like there's so many 80 carries. You can be like, dude, look at this game. He was on Jinx, he nearly carried, and then his team into him, and I'm like,
I also feel like for AL specifically, I should be like Chocho does a lot for that team. So
for sure, 100%.
And this doesn't take away from the Betty point either. So I actually think Betty has. This has by far been Betty's best split in the LPL, and just overall, I feel like him and Chocho are working so well together. Chocho is such a fun player to watch.
He's a Chad.
Shun is maybe my honorable mention. I feel like Shun's been hit or miss. I feel like overall he's mostly had good series, and he was by far the best player I think like throughout, if you have like an average of IG games, he was like the big reason they even have a lot of their wins. But he also does have very, I mean, again, him like over-aggressing in base in their last series and dying right as Elder came up. Like, he has moments like that. So, but I think Shun with a better team would work much better. IG obviously are still just so young and so new in terms of their roster and their shot calling and things like this. So, but
I feel like
I know time is gonna come when there'll be a witch hunt. We're gonna have to stand and fight, stay close and stay tight. One day this will all change, the world will be my stage. And if we dream another dream, I hope I'm still on the scene. Trading punches with the best will be my true test. 'Cause the honor that you see don't mean I'm a thief. If it's one big charade, you'll never hear me laugh. There's more to me than meets the eye. Are these the best days of our lives? With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we see. With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we Backs against the wall, well you turn and run. It pains me that I have to ask. I really shouldn't have to ask. The truth is that we'll never know. Has my time come to go? If it's one big charade, you'll never hear me laugh. There's more to me than meets the eye. Are these the best days of our lives? With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we see. They don't see what we see. With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we I see you, I see you, I believed you, I believed you, I saw you there. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we see. I don't know what to do. With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we see. They don't see what we see. With thick as these, 'cause they don't see what we Don't see what we see, 'cause we're thick as thieves.
Get up, let's go. Get up, let's go. Get up, let's go. Get up, now let's go.
We're back. We look at the beautiful lights of Xi'an. I believe that is, yes, it is. Thank you so much, production. for confirming. Never been. Always wanted to go. A lot of different cities in China. I've always loved to be to, but sadly, COVID makes it very difficult to travel at the moment. I'm sure we're all aware. We are back for our third and final game of the day. This is going to be IG versus WE. Winner lets us look at a different series. I'm sorry. It's just...
Yeah, look, look, I'm going to join you on that one. I'd like to apologize to the audience because I thought this was a game that contained someone who might be able to make it to playoffs. I now realize that expectation was completely off for me. This is a team that is just going to, two teams that are just going to go headlong into the Fiesta. And I'm just going to put up my hands. I'm going to sit with my water, my cup of tea here, and I'm just going to be ready. I'm just ready to go footlong. We're bringing out the nacho hat. We're going full jalapeno in this one. The cheese is there. It's going to be a final Fiesta.
And in Final Fiesta, and you know who was doing fantastic dancing in that Fiesta was Wink. Wink, our MVP from Game 2. He was just putting out the most damage for IG, and in terms of his positioning, definitely looking like he's going to be a little bit better for them. And nearly 42% of your team's damage, that's an MVP performance.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, this guy, every time we went into fights, was kind of like keeping our eyes on him. Especially in that fight that we had just after this fight right here, where Zika gets caught. The amount of damage that Shun was able to churn out here was that Wink was able to churn out was absolutely insane. Great positioning just over the wall, eventually kind of flashing over to join in the chaos and being able to just pick off very quickly Xing off on the side and then sets up once more for the double kill with that Runin's Hurricane. I mean, just really solid performance here from him.
Yeah, very solid performance from him. I can't really say much else about the teams. There were good moments, there were bad. We laughed, we cried, we got shocked, you know, when Baron Steel and Dragon Steel became a thing of norm throughout this series. But it is becoming down to the last game. IG, they needed to dominate. They're not doing that. Now they just need a win, because a win at the bare minimum puts them up onto 5 and gives them at least the smallest shred of hope.
Oh, we'll have to see if they can manage that. I mean, the confidence here is not... Well, the confidence for me is not here, especially after the last game. But Rise going to be locked in here, so at least for Mole. Maybe this is IG going, right, we're just going to go back towards the 1-3-1. Make ourselves kind of go back towards the style that worked for us. We haven't seen Mole on the Rise thus far, this split. But certainly something that just feels kind of like every mid laner is going to have in their pockets.
Yep, it's got to be something you got to have. Very, very powerful on this patch. Very powerful in general. Build full tank, a lot of safety, a lot of wave clear, and just great maneuverability around the map. We talk about how these teams, a lot of teams in general, like to try and just get themselves unlocked in that mid lane. It's not really about the laning phase as such in mid lane. It's all about getting out and affecting all the other ones. As we do see WE saying, look, it wasn't to do with the Xin Zhao in the last game. It was more to do with the Aphelios. So they're going to take this side of the matchup, but Wink going over onto the Jinx. And the Lee Sin here for Shun gives him that early skirmishing power. Not quite like the Hecarim, where he had to kind of take a back seat.
Curious to see now what we're going to see coming through here for Xie. Looks like it could be the LeBlanc. We've kind of seen things like the Orianna kind of be more of a mainstay. Even the Ahri, to be honest, just things that can contest the shove from the Rise in the mid lane. Xie will get shoved in quite a bit here if he is going to go towards the LeBlanc. And we'll have to see if Peixiong can try and put some early pressure here to make sure that Mole isn't getting the lead and playing off towards side lanes. But I mean, I feel like I've said that this is the third time I've said it this series, and we've seen very little of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we can honestly say is that between these two teams, we can tell you what we can expect from them in terms of a, you know, I suppose a you know, how to play League of Legends guidebook and what we should be seeing, but that's not necessarily what happens. I will say, for the side of Team WE, Peixiong was very active in Game 1 and in Game 2, just, you know, able to make things happen for his team, and now Shun's going to have to try and make that one work for himself as well. We saw him be a little bit too aggro in Game 1, couldn't find the early game skirmishing as he was on the Hecarim in Game 2, and now we'll see him on the Lee Sin in Game 3. So lots of different champions here for Shun to try and shine a light on how well he can go toe-to-toe with against Peixiong.
Let's see what the last ban is going to be for IG. Kennen taken off the board, and it feels, at least for the moment, that they're trying to set up for kind of a strong team fighter here on IG side. Take away the strong team fighters on IG side. There's the Leonicon as well. And it feels, again, like WE have kind of been playing more towards things like the Gnar, things that they can try and play through in the both well in the 1v1 in that side lane, but mostly to try and group up and fight. So I think right identification here for IG.
Yeah, I can tend to agree. We will see now WE. I didn't see a need to blind your top laner, but they obviously just say, look, we don't know what we would pick into the Gnar itself, so we're going to pick it away ourselves, and they've got themselves a very similar team comp to what they had in Game 2, and honestly, IG, I don't want to see the Riven again. I don't think it was a bad pick, but I just don't think it did anything, and I would much rather see him go for something that can have a little bit more presence around the map rather than just looking for that 1v1.
I mean, at least this time IG have better tools to try and get him ahead in that top side. It will be the Riven locked in. I'm more than likely going to see the Nautilus paired in here with the Jinx, although is always a good option to look towards things like the Alistair or the Thresh as well, just with the pushback, and that's going to be the Alistair as well, locked in now, just to try and set up for at least some decent team fighting in the in the 3-man unit. It feels like IG should be trying to play through side lanes though, with the just the super tanky mid laner for Rise, and also then looking towards the Riven in the side lanes. With the composition that WE have set up right now, it becomes real hard for IG to actually try and team fight successfully, especially with this Braum locked in as well. So much damage can be blocked off from both the Rise, the Jinx, even the ultimate from the Riven as well.
Yeah, a lot can be blocked there. I do like the Braum here from the side of Team WE. They get that finally locked and loaded. We are going to see some pretty decent support engages coming out here for the side of IG. You got Lucas now onto the Alistair, who has been creeping back up in that priority. And funny thing is, actually, I was just thinking about this the other day, we are seeing a couple of teams now pick the Sylas back in, and like you mentioned earlier, we're talking about those mini metas that form, and the counters to counters to counters, and it's always nice to see new things being explored and not just seeing the same tried and tested things, unless of course Jinx and Aphelios are available, then you just pick those.
Yeah, Jinx and Aphelios always the way, every day. And same as Zinzell, every day. Hecarim, all day, every day.
Oh, Hecarim wasn't picked in this one. He could have been.
True, he was playing the last one though. And I think
that's true.
Teams are kind of realizing a little bit about Hecarim is like, oh, if you take him early, gives a lot of freedom to the enemy side to kind of go, right, well, you're not going to be able to pressure us pre-6, honestly, for a lot of the early stages, so they're just going to go towards things like the Sejuani. We're going to go towards things like a Zac, things that can provide that super tank just as well as the Hecarim will kind of just be that little bit more beef. However, though, coming into this, we'll have to see if we're going to get to see that early jungle pressure at all here.
I have a question. How good's your basketball knowledge?
Terrible.
Oh, okay.
I used to play NBA, like the
NBA
Sports
2K?
version. No, not even 2K. What was the EA Sports one?
Oh, yeah. Like ages ago before 2K got the license.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I used to play Miami Heat. Used to like Dwayne Wade a lot. And then that knowledge just like disappeared when I was like
have you watched The Last Dance on Netflix?
I've not either.
Oh, you should watch that. I was gonna make a comparison of if Faker is Michael Jordan, who are like Scottie Pippen and
Kevin Nash.
Yeah, a lot of these different players and stuff like that. But go watch The Last Dance. Go watch The Last Dance. Incredible docuseries. Very good.
I was not gonna lie, I like coin flipped that Kevin Nash one because I was like, I've heard this name in relation to basketball. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Maybe I'm thinking of someone completely different. I'm not quite sure, but no, I'm pretty sure Kevin Nash is a wrestler now that I think about it. I'm pretty sure Kevin Nash is a wrestler. I could be completely wrong. So the reason why I asked is because I don't have a huge amount of basketball knowledge, but I'm really interested in basketball. I wanted to try and compare some things. I'm interested in getting into it, but I don't have a lot of historical knowledge there. I need to talk to Raz. I just need to text him and be like, "Hey, how's it going? I need a basketball podcast with you just for a couple hours." This was a complete segue, but it ended up being unintentionally good because we do seem to have a delay before we can get into the game. So we are just waiting for that to kind of come in. But yeah, what kind of sports? We'd be into rugby, really. That'd be our two.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do a lot of sports when I was a kid. Like taekwondo, did swimming, GAA, hurling, and Gaelic football, rugby. I did karate for a little bit. I was thinking of joining water polo, but never ended up doing that. Yeah, I even played cricket at one stage. I played football when I was younger, like soccer when I was younger. I played a lot of different things, to be honest. See, the thing was, I just never watched it. I was just like, I could go home and watch a football match or like a GA match. And I was just like, or I could just go and play it. I could go outside and run around, and that was more was. Or I could go and play like computer games on the same TV. So I was like, why am I not just doing that?
Yeah, well, just to let you all know why we're quickly doing the picks and bans again, it was Team WE locked in a champion which has been banned on 12.4, so they are going to redo the champ select right up until the last one, which I believe was the Braum. So the Braum cannot be picked here. It's obviously a bug on the patch we are not aware of, but it is a bug nonetheless. And their final pick is going to be the Galio coming in. So this changes their team comp from disengaged into more engaged. And just to come back into this one here, it wasn't Kevin Nash. You were thinking of Steve Nash and Kevin Durant, and you comboed the two together.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
just wanted to get
happened
like a 2-for-1 deal. Like make sure
Yeah.
we could,
I was educated
as a caster,
on that.
you work off of word economy. And what this is like how many words you put into a sentence, how quickly you can get.
It's like writing a
that was the
thesis.
best way. Yeah. Yeah, except you do the reverse in a thesis. In a thesis, it's like he went to the shop. He strode idly down the pathway that connected to the other road that went to the shop. That's how your thesis works. This is like he went to the shop, just very quickly off rip. I decided to do the same with those two names.
Sometimes you don't even say he went to the shop. You just go, shop!
Yeah.
he just
shop.
scream
He
it
shop.
out.
Yeah. But yeah, I just decided to do the same name with the same idea with the two names. You know, just collect the two together, save ourselves time. Everyone understood what I was talking about clearly. I didn't need to correct.
Yeah. Honestly, I just bow down to your superior knowledge on things that are basketball related, because I'm not confident enough to correct you, and that's generally how these things go. We are finally jumping on to Rift. That was a fun little segue, as I didn't even know we needed, as we are going to see now the final game between these two sides. And I'm trying to think now who the greatest rugby player is of all time, and call
Brian
him the
O'Driscoll.
fake.
Next question.
That's not.
It's
not
John O'Loughlin.
Brian O'Driscoll.
It's actually John O'Loughlin.
Not.
Like without a
Yeah.
shadow of a doubt.
Yeah,
Like,
I was gonna say it's
still-
definitely not Brian O'Driscoll. Brian O'Driscoll was great. I love Brian O'Driscoll. He was amazing, but he was not the greatest player of all time.
No, it's definitely John O'Loughlin. Like I still have like I say like maybe once a year or slightly more, I would go back and just watch that clip of him. I think it was against England, where England came out and like, John O'Loughlin, not really a big lad, you know, we can take him, and then he just barrels through like
Smashed.
4 of them. It's just like
He was like the definition of a freight train. Just
Yeah.
like it's like you
But he's
can't
even
stop this.
Well, he had an unreal 100-meter dash as well, didn't he? He's actually like
he was
he
a
had a
huge
10
lad,
points-
but he went like 0 to 100 in
10.7 seconds, 100-meter
Yeah.
dash, and it was like this dude was a monster of a man. It was terrifying. Like, where's his weight? So, 10.7 100-meter dash. 120 kilos. Like, he was almost 2 meters tall. Like, imagine this man like running at you. This guy was
Imagine
a
not
beast.
being part. Yeah, imagine not being like a forward in a rugby team. You're like a winger or something, and this guy's just barreling at you. You're like, oh god, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, yeah. So for our American friends, that's 265 pounds, and in height, from centimeters to feet.
I think that's like 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah. Oh, it's doing it in 6.5 feet, but I don't know what that is.
Because there's 6'6", because it's 12. There's 12 inches or 6.5. There's 13 inches in a foot, isn't there? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yes.
It's a weird.
It's a weird conversion. Just use metric. Get over it. England and the United States, you just use the metric system. There, I said it. Nothing worse than when you're driving up from Ireland to the north of Ireland and it goes from kilometers to miles.
6'7".
6'7". Jesus Christ.
6'7". Like, just 120 kilos, and the man could just take off. Like, it was insane.
God damn. Well, England play Ireland in the rugby tomorrow. Not tomorrow, excuse me. Saturday. So I'm gonna be putting out a lot of smack talk onto Scoundrel and Medic. I feel gotta do it. Got my jabs in onto Vedius when Ireland absolutely decimated Wales. But let's come back into the game, as we've had a little bit too much fun talking about random tangents. We now know with the Galio, you're obviously going to have a little bit more of a team fight orientated setup. As we can see, Mole now roaming in here and see if he can catch out this rebel. I like this from Beishong. He recognized that there was probably a deep ward going down on top of him, and they're not going to be able to catch him out just yet.
Well, actually, Zika getting some good damage here into view. The Ignite goes down, but will back away. Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of members of IG up here. GA has no TP to try and help out Bew. This is a dunzo.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be pretty difficult for Bubu to get out of. He's exhausted. He doesn't even catch his boomerang. Beishan going to be here. There's Sonic Wave. He's going to try and get the hop, but he shall not get the skip. And that's going to be first blood going over to IG.
And this is much more confident from IG. This is the kind of stuff that I expected to see from them, especially when Chie decided to go towards the LeBlanc. You just have no pressure in this lane, so now you drop the kill, you lose the CS, Mo can TP back into mid. It should be relatively alright to not fall too far behind, so it's a nice job from IG in these early stages. But yeah, I want to come back to kind of the way these two team comps function. We kind of already touched on IG being like, look, this is definitely a split push comp, has some decent team fighting, but definitely works better where they're working off of getting Zika ahead, looking for Mole to use that realm warp to find picks, and kind of using that function of their composition to move around the map. For WE, it's all about team fights. Chie trying to find some poke at the beginning, and Kadaya, if we're coming back to our tangents, is like the John Olomu of this composition. He can be just that massive tackler who's just like, hey, you want to try and get into my backline? Not a freaking hope. Then you've also got the Kadaya who can go forward. You can also take off like a freight train, where he's going to be able to like set him up with Chie and Bew to have that like follow up. If they go in aggressive, he can just ult in on top of them and provide that engagement.
You see it there, a little lower third popping up. Zika having a 100% win rate on the champion so far. Has played twice. This will be the third time. 4.0 KDA on the champion as well. What would he be? Would he be the Dan Carter? Is he the Dan Carter was the New Zealand number 10, I believe. Yeah. I do believe it's Carter. I know it's Carter. I just can't remember his first name.
I'm pretty sure it's Dan Carter.
Yeah, he's insane. He's like,
look,
honestly, he's up there in the conversation.
We're just going to run through the list of All Blacks. That's essentially
what's every All Blacks team ever to play. It's like, oh, these guys were awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing that like Ireland beats New Zealand in a friendly and the entire country loses its collective mind. It's like, we did it. And it's like, okay, can we do this in the World Cup? Absolutely not.
Isn't there like a very slim list of countries that have actually beaten New Zealand?
I do believe Ireland, Wales, England. In terms of Northern Hemisphere teams, it's Ireland, Wales, England, and France. And I believe
there are seven countries who've beaten the All Blacks in Test. Argentina, Australia, England, France, Ireland, South Africa. So
Wales
kind of
haven't even done it.
No, Wales have done it.
Oh, okay.
That's why we all lose our collective minds when it happens.
I mean, Ireland has only
doesn't happen.
We've only beaten New Zealand like 4 times in our collective history of nearly like 80 years of rugby. It's kind of insane to think. They're just so good, man. And it's impossible to like hate them as well. It's like it's like normally when a team's like so dominant and so crazy, you're like, oh, I don't like that team because they're like full of arrogance.
It's so good to watch though.
They're so
elegant.
fluid.
It's like it's insane. It's just nuts. But Mole once more is starting to try and get these roams off the top side. Zika though is resetting, so we'll just back away. But yeah, I mean, it's insane watching them. They're just so good.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're gonna see now if they can kind of bring ourselves back into this game. And I apologize to anybody who is obviously waiting for us to talk about the game. Nothing has happened. Both teams have just kind of wandered around their own jungles, and
here we go.
We could see something finally going in here, but it looks like it's just going to be an evade on the red buff as WE try and gain control around this dragon pit.
And should be able to do so very easily. Shadaya being able to kind of prevent Lucas engage means that WE have been able to get some push on towards the bot side. IG now, though, with Shove in mid, now trying to contest over towards the dragon, and that's the Realm Warp.
Oh, the Realm Warp, it's going to go straight into a two-man taunt. Kadaya going to flash over the wall, get himself to safety, so he will lose a summoner. So you gain a summoner for an ultimate. The Realm Warp not gaining a huge amount of gold or anything like that for IG, but is giving them pressure.
Yeah, I wasn't actually sure there if you were going to be able to get a good amount of turnaround damage. Like, Mole, not particularly tanky at this stage. Same with Shun. Like, that 3-man unit of WE might have been able to burst out someone, but they will just decide to back away. Zika placing a deep ward there to spot out where Beishan's path team's going to be. But again, we're kind of coming back to this slow, steady push. And when we saw IG make this initial move down or up towards the top side, But since then, Mo's kind of just been stationary in the lane. That realm warp there, trying to see if they could help out. But you have a ton of push once more from Mo. Again, just move up topside, help out Zika, get yourselves ahead. Because if you come into these team fights at a kind of an even state, it feels like, again, they're WE favored.
Yeah, I think it does feel like WE do have the edge on that. And I will say, yes, you got the engage from the Alistar, but you are very reliant on that engage from the Alistar to really set up any kind of big team fight. You know, you're looking to try and catch people out really on rotations, as Lucas spotted out here, as well as Mole, as the side of WE start to push in here. And despite the little bit of pressure you gain in that bot side, it does feel like WE are the ones dictating where and when things are happening around this map so far.
I mean, at least IG did get some early plays off, but for WE, definitely the Kadaya is starting to move around. And I kind of prefer Kadaya on these champions where he can have a little bit more pressure as BB forced to flash from the top side, but being able to roam, being able to have these impact and skirmishes, this was kind of the part where I liked Kadaya when he first came into the league, but still have yet to see very much of these skirmishes hit, have a bit of these actual fights happen, as Shun will start up this Rift Herald. Play onto the top side though. Potential for the Galleon to join.
Zika did get caught out there by the Mega Gnar, forced to use his flash. He's going to pop down the Ignite as well, but I feel like he is just dead. As I say that, I can't actually fully commit to that because the rest of IG are here, and that's going to just stop about a little bit of that Rift Herald take. But all this time, Xing is saying, I'm playing PvE.
Yeah, and Xing is winning this. I mean, they actually completely pulled off the Rift Herald, so now you've got to start it back up again. So Xing will get another wave plonked into this tower. That is so much gold gone to this Aphelios. I mean, look, 600 gold just off of that play. And all this experience and farm being lost to the tower because you've got Wink on the top side.
They still haven't gotten the Rift just yet. You can see Kadaya just kind of roaming up towards this top side saying, look, you can't go for a dive. They finally take down Shelly, but something happens, but it's more of a push and pull situation. This Aphelios now very, very far accelerated. Going to be able to go back, pick up a Gale Force, you would imagine, and just keep himself ahead of this Jinx matchup.
I don't know if he can actually reset though, because Yuvi's still on this top side, and you know the Rift Herald, in theory, will be put up here by IG, but actually it's just going to be Shun backing away, so you can see the Xing kind of staying around here to catch the wave that Zik is pushing in, assuming that Zik is going to go back towards the top side, and that actually does look like it's the plan. It does mean though Xing going to be late on the reset, which you would love to go for, as you say, to like get that Gale Force, now move down over towards this Dragon as well, but he's only going to start his recall now, which means there's a potential for IG to snowball this into the Dragon as well, but Shun sticking around for a little bit too long on this top side means that they can't try and punish the fact Xing was seen underneath that tower.
Rift Herald taken, you will have that pressure now available for IG as the rest of WE now get their resets in. They're going to be getting themselves back onto the map. You do have the Gale Force, as we just mentioned, finished up here for Xing, as both mid laners trying to go toe-to-toe with each other. Beishan gets himself over the wall, but Mole, very fast, gets himself away.
Yeah, I don't think you really want to fight this as IG, as you said, Gale Force now completed for Xing. He's going to be so insanely strong in these fights. You even got the TP available for Bubu, where he can TP to mid, cut off retreats, maybe even TP to bot to do the same. So, bit of a dangerous spot here for IG. I really don't think you fight this.
I know is exactly what you're talking about. Is Lucas gets the knock up down. They're going to try and get Mole in. That's just going to be, yep, pretty damn easy to take down Kadaya. He was left isolated on his own, and the single target CC is perfect for the side of IG to secure themselves that kill.
Yeah, WE just not setting up correctly, getting themselves in a position where they can actually fight, and now Xie definitely losing out of this
Mole,
race.
I don't know if he is though, as Mole's going to be forced to go into the stasis. He tries to flash away, will get hit, but the wind becomes lightning as the Mega Inferno. Oh my lord, they trade it back, and they're going to be able to get the kill on the Beishan, you imagine as well. No! Shun misses the Q, not quite able to make it work, but 3-0 in kills. Dragon finally secured here by IG, and it looks like the gears are finally turning. The slow start to the game is starting to look very IG favored.
Yeah, you just don't have the damage there on on WE to take down Mole, and as he starts to run down towards River, you know that that's IG territory. You know that Shun is in that area, and even the Super Mega Death Rocket just able to finish it off. Now Zika going 1v1 against Bubu.
Yeah, I will say Zika, though, with the Ignite, definitely felt like he could have gone for something there using the Blade Reforged ultimate as well. So Bubu got to go into Mega. I actually feel like he comes out of that a little bit on top.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. You know you play Legends of Because it's just like Blade Reforged is like, you know, Blade of the Exile, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I do. It does mess with the ability names quite a bit because you're just like, oh yeah, this is what it is in Legends of Runeterra, but does not equal out on the same side of this. But
all I'm saying is I need my Ari to throw as many Orbs of Deception as TFT Ari does. Because Jesus, that kid.
That's really fun to look at, by the way. It's like starts off really slow and then all of a sudden just covers up like literally the entire map. It's very fun to watch. But also, if you're a TNT person, you're wondering for a good comp, go for Syndicates. Really fun, very powerful right now. On the current patch. But yeah, bot lane turret goes over. That's going to be picked up here by Xing, who, as we said, has just been playing PvE. Got himself about a 25, about a 15 CS lead in that bot side. But 2 kills going over to Wink means that he is very much able to keep toe with this Aphelios and stop him from hyperscaling. That being said, it's still a 1,300 gold lead, so not going to be the best of situations here for IG. They get the Shelly smacking down into this mid lane. Despite the kills, despite Shelly, and despite everything going in favor of IG, it is still only about a 200 gold lead. It's actually pretty damn close.
Yeah. The thing though is that IG, like, it's where that gold is situated. Like, the fact that Mole has a good amount, you're getting that on towards the jungler as well, who can actually start to play between these 2 lanes. But you can see here, yeah, just Xie trying to follow up. Perfect shot there. Means that they can take him down. And with IG having control of River, they're not able to do very much about it. But yeah, coming back into this is like, you've got the gold lead for Mole in that mid lane, which is pretty substantial. He'll be able to take over in that side lane against Xie. Have a lot of that 1v1 damage, especially as he starts to get things like Force of Nature. The issue though is that when you look at WWE, Xing is huge. Facing 900 gold up thanks to that terror in that bot side already going his way, and now he's just going to move into the mid.
Realm Warp coming in on the base Shang, who has no flash, but they're going to try and answer this straight away with a TP. They're going to come in here with the Mega Gnar, 2-man into the wall, and with the Grand Entry, or the Hero's Entrance, I should say. Lucas just about surviving, but the Jinx has fallen, and now IG are running for the hills. They're going to catch out Mole and take him down too. All of a sudden, WE turn themselves back on. They get themselves 3 kills, and they get themselves full control of the map.
It was a nice idea from IG. They had vision control in that top side, but just not, again, respecting the fact that Zika doesn't have TP. You are always at the numbers difference advantage, especially after the 14-minute mark. Do not do it, Shun. Back it up, Zika.
I mean, Zika getting caught out underneath the turret, but that turret is yet to fall. Finally does go down. Kadaya does get hit by the Q of Shun, but he shall not reactivate it. He shall not go in against 4 members of WE, and with that turret going down now as well, you can see WE starting to take a little bit of a gold lead.
You see in the replay though, like, you see the pink ward, you know that you've got the TP for Bubu on that bot side, and just so much gold going across. Even, like, I can get if you want to try and bait out that TP from Bubu, but just not respecting the fact that he had hit the Mega Gnar, had the TP in the perfect spot, and committing, like, the Hex Flash from Lucas puts you all in such a bad spot. WE just able to chase you down.
And I love the movement we saw from Kadaya. He was able to put himself right on the escape route. He gets the taunt down, so there's no real follow-up to try and help out Lucas, and it also puts the rest of IG into such a precarious situation as Shelly is going to be started right now. You do have a TP onto Mole, and past 14 minutes means he can join any and all fights. Xie now going to be answering that, but just in the same vein as the Riven not having TP, the LeBlanc does not have one of their own. So TP advantage for the moment does go over to the side of IG as Zika tries to make something work with this Riven. And again, like, we could talk about this Riven all day long. It is very much a I win lane. I want to be in my own setup, my own lane, and my own kind of, like, you know, my own earnings. As we can see, Lucas now trying to make something work. Nice flash from Bubu, but it is about kind of getting these small wins here for the side of IG to make sure that they're able to keep the advantages and not have these 5v4 skirmishes.
The problem with running the Ignite, though, is that it's good for a lane, not so good when you get past lane. And Zika hasn't been able to make much use of the Ignite in the lane phase, which means that now you need this Riven to pretty much always be situated on the side of the map where the objective is. As you can see right now, Zika's topside. So WE are like, cool, we will end up either just a moment thanks to how large Xing is. So Zika needs to start positioning himself around where these objectives are, but it means that then Bubu ends up in a relatively alright matchup against Mole. You got Xie, who can kind of, like, do pretty well against Zika as well, as long as he doesn't get, like, caught out without some of the stashes. And this Riven just falls off, like, relevancy. Like, she's not as big in team fights as Bubu. Just doesn't have the side lane pressure without the TP. And I don't mind if you want to play that style, but then give it more resources than one gank that ends up giving the kill across the bow rather than actually going towards Zika.
Tend to agree. As Zika finally got that gore drinker here, going to be sitting pretty much alone on the side lane as he tries to get some more pressure. You will see IG pretty much concentrating all of their forces towards this bot side as WE get their resets in and get themselves back onto the map. 4 minutes until the next dragon spawns as WE pick themselves up the Ocean Drake. And that's going to be a free tower here for the side of IG, so WE late on the rotation means they cannot answer this just yet. With the push in mid lane, you've already taken that tier 1, but as I say that, Lucas and Sean in a little bit of trouble. There's going to be the double taunt coming in, but the nice headbutt away by Lucas as he tries to keep his jungler alive. They lose so much just from, honestly, lazy pathing.
And now WE have pressure in this mid lane. Wink trying to clear the wave, but has to be careful that he's not being jumped on.
Mole has to flash over the wall, and that's the big problem there. Moonlight Vigil comes out with the Inferno, tanking up as well the Super Mega Death Rocket here and Xing. This is just small little moments here going in favor of IG. Bit by bit, they're just getting summoners, getting ultimates, getting these smaller cooldowns, and this TP could be very dangerous, but with the rest of IG here, WE decide they do not want to go for the full 5v5.
I mean, a TP, a bit of an overcommit anyway. I mean, you've now got no real side lane pressure because that TP is down. 3 minutes until the dragon, but, I mean, Baron is up. Trying to contest all sides of the map is now going to be tough with Mole having that summoner spell down for the next 5 minutes. So, realistically, you've got options here as WE to try and play out side lanes correctly. IG, though, slamming down this Rift Arrow, want to try and make use of it, but don't have Lucas here. This is 4 versus 5.
For the moment, you do see Lucas barreling down this mid lane. Looks like it's just going to be Shelly getting the push off. And as I say that, we are going to see Mole getting jumped on. Here goes the hero's entrance into the taunt. He pops down the exhaust, but he shall not be keeping himself alive. Kadaya picks that one up for himself. Zika now has to run himself away as Shun gets the Dragon's Rage kick as a bit of disengage. This is over nothing right now. This is literally a Rift Herald charge, nothing else. But Baron is on the cards at WE. They feel confident. Look at the flashes that were blown.
And you've no vision here for IG, so face checking this is a nightmare. Bubu will go exhausted, but by the time IG kind of mount an offense here, he should be able to start stacking up that rage bar once more.
I mean, they've caught themselves on the wrong side of the map. Flash in, the cleanse and flash by Wink will keep him alive. Lucas goes in with his ultimate to try and keep himself alive. It's a trade of supports. But look at Xie, unfeared, unafraid to move himself all the way into this backside. And this is just WE picking IG apart.
Yeah, IG playoffs looking fairly ripperino right now as WE will start this one up. No jungler inside. Xie with the opportunity to try and poke onto Wink.
And Xie just trying to see if he can get himself onto the backside. Bubu, though, has his ultimate, the Mega Gnar, and Wink is dead. Mole with no flash. Realm Warp is not going to be coming out because he has nowhere to put it down. And that's going to be WE just again and again and again getting so much off of this play.
Xing is huge. Xie, massive. I mean, you even look at the assists that are going across to the likes of Bubu and Beishang. Like, there's very little here that IG can do. Even Kadai using the Hex Gate to get across, just to make sure nobody's poking their nose in. And beautiful reset time in here as well. 50 seconds till that dragon means that it could be a second dragon fairly easily on the way of WE. And again, positioning here for IG, major mistakes. Wink forcing flash away. You don't even have the numbers advantage, and there's no reason for everyone to try and barrel in towards the Baron pit, like, especially when you're on the opposite side. Just let one person go in, more than likely the jungler to get some vision, or even Zika if you think he's safe. And again, Bubu just hop straight in, poor positioning from Wink and Mole, because again, they're just sitting beside that wall within leap distance and just take the fight.
Yeah, and I love that the move from Xie. He didn't necessarily need to go behind the Dragon Pit, but basically said, look, if anyone walks into me, we just have the exact same play we just got with Kadaya getting the flash taunt onto the Wink, so no one can really go into there, and then he's able to pincer in with the rest of his team. So Zika, though, with the top lane push, actually going to be able to get this tier 2, and WE, with the Baron at the moment, they need to try and force maybe something onto one of these side lanes that Zika is not in. As Bubu with the teleport is going to be able to try and answer this. Kadaya will get the double taunt and was running away, but now with Xing moves forward very aggressively. Lucas does not go down. One more piece of damage would have been able to take him out, but now you have no engage, you have no tank here available for IG, and that means the base is almost certainly going to be cracked open.
Yeah, Zika's getting chased away as well. Bubu stopping him from resetting. it's going to be the Moonlight Vigil going wide, but still these Baron up creeps doing work on this tower.
Yeah, we were talking about rugby earlier. Shing going for the 3 points. Gets himself that between the sticks of Wink and Mole, but now the rest of WE went a little bit too aggressive there. Didn't quite have the position. Zika now joining up with his team. Going to be able to try and deny some more of this push. I feel like IG, if you're going to make a last stand, it's not going to be at this tier 2. I feel like you kind of just let this one go. You do not have the unbreakable will here for Lucas. It's not really a lot of engage options. But WE, they're respecting it because they don't actually have Pew Pew with them.
Gonna back away. So they're all said and done. They're going to be relatively all right. I'm just casting my eyes on the upcoming games we have, to get an idea if we'll. Because I mean, let's be realistic. IG.
I'm looking at something that's not this game.
Yeah, because IG are going to lose this. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have an idea. Rare Adam play Ultra Prime tomorrow. So if Rare Adam win tomorrow, and then...
So I believe so I know what you're going to try and say. I believe we have to wait right up until the end of the split because I believe OMG, unless FBX and Rare Adam get up to 7 wins, unless FBX wins the last few reigns, if OMG are still the last playoff team, we don't know until literally they win or lose all their games.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying.
An idea of when IG would be officially out. It could have been ahead of the next game, but the next game is on Sunday against Top Esports. But yeah, I think if both this game and Top Esports series are gone, that's it. Because I don't even think they have to have the head-to-head against OMG and Rare Adam.
Well, we're going to see it engage in this bots or top side. As we can see, Kadaya gets a fantastic ultimate had he a team with him. But sadly, he does not. Now IG heard you talking smack right now. They smack right back.
Was it IG smacking back, or was it Bubu kind of hitting himself? Because getting completely caught out on the top side. Not exactly the best way to try and utilize the fact you've got this big lead. WE now going to be put on, I won't say the back foot. It just gives IG a bit of an option now to shove out top side, maybe get some pressure.
Breathing room.
Too. Yeah. I'm just trying to see what the thought process was. Yeah, Bubu just hits mini, doesn't expect everyone to be in the bush. And Ebon does now, but
what?
Yeah,
what?
You've got WE here.
What?
I don't know. I don't.
What? That was so unnecessary. They missed the engage. You just needed to back away. Oh, unforced errors.
I just don't know how they're not finding the room so stuffy and overheated with all these. It just feels like it's got to be the most uncomfortable spot.
You know what? I was curious to see where you take it. It did take me a half second to realize what throw meant outside of throwing a ball or something. So
yeah,
well played, Dagda. Well played.
Thank you. I like to go a little bit different. We've heard the catch one before, but a throw for a piece of furniture or for a blanket.
Throw pillows. You ever see those places that have more throw pillows than actual sleep on pillows? Those I don't understand.
The ones where you have to move them all off the bed, it's just
yeah.
And then you gotta put them all back on.
But that's the thing,
unnecessary
but also, most people put them just on the floor, right? Because if you're in a hotel or something, you're just gonna put them on the floor. You don't really have a space to put them, which means you're just gathering dust and dirt on the floor, and then you put them back on the bed. What the hell? It's so unnecessary. Just have your sleep pillows. God damn it. I feel like we've unearthed something in me that I didn't know was an issue, and now I do.
We've had this conversation before. I hard judge hotels based on it. If you have a good pillow,
you are a pillow snob, though. Let's be real.
It's not even. It's just a case of realistic. I can sleep on an uncomfortable bed, but if I get an uncomfortable pillow, I'm just screwed. That's me done. No matter how comfy that mattress is, I just need a good pillow.
Literally bought pillows from Shanghai and brought them home as Wink flashes away. Ignite ticking down. Gonna have the safeguard there to make sure he is safe. But
they were good pillows. They were really good pillows.
They were great pillows. You brought them all the way from Shanghai.
That's
I brought
true,
them actually, because you bought more the second time we went over.
Yeah.
We're going to stop talking about pillows for the moment, as we're going to see a bit of an engage coming out. The Moonlight Vigil does come out, but it only hits Mole. There is going to be the heal used by Shing to make sure there's not enough execute damage on that Super Mega Death Rocket. And that's going to be WE backing themselves away again. They're too low, really, to go for this Baron. They're going to have to try and reset and get themselves back on the map. No one's even close to Soul. This game is just... What is this game, man? Back to throw pillows.
This is a series. Yeah, I mean, well, Look, we gotta see where this. Oh, Mole. Oh my
Good. Good.
God.
That was the smartest
Oh my
thing he did. Oh my lord, that could have
That
been.
was the dumbest thing I have. I don't know what that thought process was.
No.
Where was
he
that
thought
going?
about it. He thought. I don't even know where it was going.
Oh,
but,
Shun.
Shun.
Oh, Shun.
Oh, Shun's dead. Shun's dead. They know exactly where he is. They have a ward. He's going to try and get himself away, but with no flash available to him, Shun shall fall, and with no jungler, WE get themselves a free Baron.
The throws are on the floor. the
Gathering
pillows have found their
dirt
way.
before they get put back on the bed.
Oh god. So WE, they will get Baron, and we saw how devastating the last Baron was to IG. They're just not really able to clear out these waves particularly well. Like Wink struggles to clear them. Bull certainly does as well because the AoE damage that he has doesn't really clear very particularly well. And you've got the Dragon now in 2 seconds, and with no jungler for IG, that will be WE securing.
I will say though, the Baron is impactful, but not probably as impactful as WE was like. They have a relatively short range composition, unless you of course have Calibrum. Still thinking about those pillows?
No, I thought you were about to say the Baron can be impactful, but not as much as IG and WE's throws this series. I thought you were just meant to roast. But
No,
I think
no,
like
not
with
quite,
a short
not
range
quite.
composition, the Baron actually like has a bigger impact, right? Because you're never able to siege without it. So the fact that you actually have the capability of sieging, especially with the range that you get off the cannons, it's the only real way that WE can close out this game, because as you say, they are incredibly short.
Yes. In a ring around the rosy kind of way, we are getting to our final results. I sound like you know those pilots who just clearly woke up just before they have to like make an announcement.
And
It's like,
it is about
"Hello,
23 degrees
yeah.
on Summoner's Rift.
On this flight from Dublin to Berlin. And there's like that long pause where he's just like, where am I? Well, Shun is finding himself by the wolf camp as he tries to look for maybe a little bit of a kick engage. And they're going to be able to get out that tier 2 in the bot side. IG slowly but surely finding themselves further and further behind. They are now about 2,500 gold lead behind. They've got a minute and a half left for WE on this Baron. And WE, they're going to want to try and break open the base now. If they can break open the base, that could be huge for them trying to end out this series. Oh, wait. Bew. What's happening? Why? Now the game's gonna be extended! No!
I mean, I kind of feel bad for Bew. That was just like a bounce house. He just didn't get to play the game for about 4 seconds there. But yeah, overextends, not quite in a position to try and, well, just tries to bite off more than he can chew it. Hey, we're getting mid-tower. As long as I don't get caught on side, we can actually get the inhibitor. But takes that step too far. IG off collapse, and that will kind of ruin the Baron push here. Like, just trying to play off of too many lanes. Like, wave is coming in mid, but this makes it so much easier for IG to make that decision about, hey, where are we going to actually try and engage on? Even gets caught by just the headbutt there. Really needed to flash that instead of trying to rely on that.
And look, I want to clarify something here to the audience. I love the LPL. I love the teams in the LPL. I love casting the LPL. We are the best region in the world, and it's not even close.
And then you left us for LEC. How could you?
Yeah, I. Excuse me. My God.
I'm not the one on trial here, Oshin.
Yeah. Answer the damn question. But look, it is going to be just, you know, it is games like this where I just, you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat it and pretend that these are the 2 greatest teams in the world. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I heckin' love LPL. I heckin' hate bad League of Legends. And speaking of bad League of Legends, we might see some right here. As Shie thought he could maybe go into Shun there, looking for an assassination attempt, but that Gore Drinker doing an awful lot of work.
Yeah, Sterix as well, just coming in to help out. Again, Shun, Sterix second, tut.
I thought you said hysterics, and I was like, when did he join
No.
the call?
No, Sterix.
Tag in.
Sterix Gage is not the item that you want to build second anymore. It really does suck.
Explain to us why.
So it used to work off of your maximum health, where you get a big shield off of that. It now works off of the bonus health that you got. So that can like come off of both your levels, which helps, plus certainly your items. So going for something that actually provides a little bit more health first, then transitioning over means that that 30% bonus health shield that you get just actually is relevant and cost efficient.
Thank you. That's probably the most insightful thing we've had to say about this game all day.
That's because nothing is playing as it should.
But also nothing is happening. Like it's a catch every now and again. It's someone getting caught out and killed off. And we might have to see that right here as WWE look like they're getting impatient. They look like they're trying to just make something work. There's the taunt coming out. It's going to be able to catch out Zika. As we go in, Luke is going to pop out his own unbreakable will as we get the kickback. Shun not quite in the position as Kadaya goes golden. Shing flashes away. He's just keeping himself alive as Zika is on this backside. While that was all happening, we do see Wink getting excited, getting himself pushing forward and maybe trying to make this one work. But at the end of it all, it's a 3 for 1 in favor of WWE, but these health bars are low. So low, in fact, that Wink feels like he could be a god, but he is not. He is a mere peasant in the eyes of Shing. And finally, after all the pushing and pulling and heartbreak and silly plays, WWE will take the win.
I am just so glad to be out of this game. Watching that last engagement, Lucas missing his combo by headbutting Shing to safety sums up this series. WWE, you have managed to play upset here today because I think a lot of people watching this game were incredibly upset.
Well, I don't think there's much else I need to say about that. Well played, sir. You know, for me, having my job is to speak. You made me speechless, so well played. Well played.
Yeah. I mean,
Matt, look, I'm gonna say that thing that has to be said. Mathematically, IG are not out of playoffs. However, let's all be real and look between myself, Dagda, and the rest of the people watching. Let's all be real with each other right now. This team does not go to playoffs. And even if it does, I don't know, as you said earlier, I don't know if I want this team to go to playoffs. This was rough, to say the least.
Yeah, so I want to have a quick look to have a break. So yeah, if Rare Assam win their game tomorrow, the only way that IG can make it into playoffs is if FPX beat OMG, because OMG own the head-to-head against FPX. OMG own the head-to-head against IG. So if OMG win, they will always get into first spot, and then IG would have to beat FPX to get in, or like with the current standings as they are. So for IG, like, it's not looking good. Like, this is not a position that you really want to find yourself in. And honestly, I think, as we said, like, with performances like this isn't a playoffs.
Nope, it is not. 4-9 now, as we can see there. The game just slowly went further and further in favor of WE. Got a shout out to Xie and Sheng, who were able to kind of keep themselves up and relevant. I do gotta give it, credit to Wink. He at least tried. He went for something. He knew the GA was down on Shing. If he gets the reset there, he probably turns around the fight. Jinx is just one of those carries that can 1v5 if the health bars are low enough, but wasn't to be. Zika taking his first loss on the Riven in LPL 2022 Spring. And this was, again, I suppose good for the side of WE and WE fans. They're closing in on TT for that 16th spot.
I mean, you're not wrong. They're 2-11. Oh wait, no, they don't own the head-to-head. They don't own the game difference. But yeah, I mean, this is. Do
they own the head-to-head? I can't.
I
think TT.
Oh wait, they
beat
do.
them.
No, I think it's the one win that WE have, right?
Was it? Wait,
TT?
hang on, let me check it. No, their one win was against LGD. WE played TT in the final week. Hype! We got a matchup.
Maybe.
I mean, literally, like,
actually,
I'm trying to find something.
yeah. Maybe we got the battle for the wooden spoon that'll happen, but yeah. I mean, look, this series just, God, that was painful, and so many people it's like, I don't even mind when teams maybe aren't as good at map play or aren't as good at team fighting, and they just get outperformed or they get mechanically outplayed. But when you're just like bossing Zika, like walking through a bush into like to go and make it gank onto top side, like, I'm dying to that gank, that's where I get annoyed. Or Beishang just randomly getting caught, or like shouldn't get randomly getting caught a couple of times. I mean, Zika getting caught. Like, these are the plays where you're just like, this isn't even fun. This is just
we had to make
you
our
switch
own
it off
fun.
your brain and just kind of going off on your own. So
I mean,
this was
yeah.
Oh God, it was awful.
It wasn't EDG versus RNG. It wasn't our top 10 teams, and let's be real, it probably won't be either of these teams. Well, I know one of them won't be guaranteed. There's always a chance mathematically, you got to talk about that. But yeah, this was a game. This was a series. And for WE, look, a lot of positives considering where they started this season. I'm huffing the copium seriously right now because this is the last place team in the LPL. I am glad to see some positives coming out for them. They are punishing when they need to. They are finding those small things. And I think Xing looked very well today as well. So a team that has also found themselves chopping and changing a couple of different parts between mid and jungle and even in the AD carry role as well. So this is a team that is similar enough, trying to find their own form, trying to find their own formula. And it does feel like it is slowly getting there. It's just a very, very slow burn.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to be honest. I'm just waiting to hear Xing MVP in my ear so I can stop talking about this series because I just don't have anything else to add. I just don't.
This game was what it was. We learned that we know very little about rugby in terms of, actual historical knowledge. We learned that pillows are OP.
Don't talk to us about basketball.
Don't talk to us about basketball. There's true that most sports I'm gonna suck at. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I'm very much like you. It's like I'll watch them. I'm a casual fan, but like there's people who come around to me. It's same with music as well. It's just like, oh my god, you know this person? I'm like, I have no idea who that is. Like, but you say it's your favorite band. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like I don't know names. I don't know faces. I just like the music.
See, this was the thing. I have a good friend called Darcy who I would like chat to a lot, and he was a big football head. So through listening to him, I would pick up certain things. Like, I mean, Fellaini is a tall guy for soccer who would like be very good in the air. So I would have
He's
these
very tall with an afro.
Yes. But the thing was, I would pick up these little nuggets of phrases that I would then use to bypass like pub talk,
Wait a minute.
barbershop
Are
talk.
you literally doing the IT crowd sketch of
Yes.
Did you see that awful display last night?
Yeah, that is what I did. When I went into the barbers, I would parrot whatever my friend Darcy had told me. So I'd be like, at the time, Fellaini joined Man U, and I'd be like, oh yeah, like, he's pretty good. I think Man U really needed someone who was good in the air in that offensive spot, and they would just go. And that was it. It was great. That's how I got past all of them.
You know who was great and doesn't play for Man United? Xie, our MVP for Game 3. I thought it was going to be Xing, but it is in fact Xie on the LeBlanc. Honestly, you could have picked anyone out of a hat, but looking at the damage done, pretty fair.
Yeah, especially when you're on the LeBlanc. Not easy to get nearly 31% of the team's damage. And Magi Stack, Shadow Flame was in there as well. This guy was really churning out the damage. And again, like, Xie definitely looking much more comfortable in the mid for WE. I think Shanks didn't really have like a bad time. It was just not what the team needed in kind of a more passive control mage-oriented player. With Xie coming in and playing these more aggressive kind of assassin and mid laners that can have a bit more of a proactive time, Xie definitely seems like the best call.
Yep, it really, really does. And look, I like Shanks. I was very much a big fan of him in 2021. And it does feel like, though, considering the results that WE have been able to get and who they've been able to work with, it does feel like the Beishang-Xie combination seems to be working a little bit better. And for WE, again, look, you're playing spoiler. Your spring split will be over, but you do push yourselves forward. They are not going to just be a one-win team. They're now 2 wins, maybe even 3 against TT. Big hype on that. As we get the battle for the wooden spoon, I imagine towards the end of the split. But for IG, I don't know. There was so much about this team, and we've mentioned it a million different times, but there was so much about this that I liked, and the compositions coming in. Zika came in and just looked like he was really feeling out and looking like a top lane carry. It's all falling apart for me. Honestly, I would not be surprised if this team looks to try and go for something different in summer as well, because I don't know if it's a time thing, I don't know if it's a shot calling thing, communication, I don't know, but it's not it. I don't know what else to say.
It's just make up your decision what way you want to play the game. Either you have Nani playing with Mole and you play for team fights, or you have Zika with Uikai playing for side lanes. This mix match isn't working.
It is not. Well, we are at the end of our day because WE won. We shall not have an interview, sadly. as they are in Xi'an. We do not have an interviewer set up there, but let's have a look at the result for today as a 2-1 victory for WE, emulating sort of their win-loss record in today's 2-1 victory.
Yep, WE managing to take that one and get a bit of pride back for themselves and see if they can keep that bottom table battle interesting. Now sitting tied in 16th.
Ooh.
Maybe that's what we need. Maybe TT and WE handshake. And they just say, you know what? There is no 17th place this year.
It's just 16th.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's not how it works, but I'm pretty sure you're tied. Actually, no, maybe it does. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, we will have a winner regardless because there's always going to be a head-to-head. One of these two teams has to beat each other. That's the thing. As we look into this now, IG 4-9. It is rough, but we're going to coming into a big super weekend of games. We're going to make up for the only one series today with 3 tomorrow. TT versus JDG, RA versus Ultra Prime, and then Top Esports versus Weibo Gaming. 2 of those games right after each other, middle and last, have massive playoff implications.
Yeah, as we said, Rare Adam, if they can try and take that spot, or that win, will be pushing themselves up a little bit further into that safety net of the 10th place, 9th place spot. Top Esports, though, looking once more to kind of keep the streak alive. And I mean, I'm excited. Top Esports really feel like they found their footing now towards the end of the split and going up against Weibo, a second place team. That one's going to be a banger.
Honestly, as one of the biggest kind of criticizers of Top Esports, I am hold my hands up high and say they have been slowly but surely finding the same form. On paper, this team looked like they should be smashing, and yes, it was a rough start, but they are finding that form, and it's going to be this is their first real big test, I feel, against a top team to maybe move them from a playoff contender to a championship contender. That's what we're going to be looking for from that team. But yeah, again, we're running out of series, we're running out of games, and we're going to be getting to the end of our season very, very shortly. But in terms of the end of the season, that's got to wait. We are going to end today. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. Dagda, thank you for bringing me through the rugby, the basketball, the pillows, the throws, everything was there. And of course, thank you to all of our back end
I appreciate
staff.
your blanket statement.
Yeah. Shut up. A big thank you obviously goes to all of our back end staff, specifically and honing in on our video guy, who I hold a very special place in my heart too. That's a joke for only me and him. No one else will understand that. And until then, we're going to see you guys at the slightly earlier time tomorrow, but on the exact same channel, and we'll see you guys then.